Welcome on in, chat. Hold on, let me just adjust a couple of things here. Alrighty. We are live. Welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live and alive. How is everybody doing today? Our subscriber count is still not working. I don't know how to fix it. I've tried so many different things. I'm going to change fucking... Okay. Today's the day. Today's the day. Executive function achieved. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're doing so well in the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. It is August 26, 2025. And I think it's safe to say that we're fucked. I think it's safe to say that we are fucked. I think it's safe to say that I don't actually think there's any constraints on Trump. Hey, it's too late, we're cooked. That's a good first strat. I don't think that the institutions at any level of our society can stop Trump. And they're not even going to try. It is the thing about stuff like being concerned or sounding the alarm. Sounding the alarm is a metaphor. When somebody says, I'm going to sound the alarm, that's a metaphor. What is that a metaphor for? The answer is a watchdog or a sentry will see an approaching army, and then he sounds the alarm. The thing about sounding the alarm is that there's supposed to already be your own army. There's already supposed to be a plan. There's already supposed to be defenses drawn up. If you're sounding the alarm, that's supposed to mean, all right, everybody grab your sword, everybody grab your shield, go to the mustering field, close the gates, bring in the supplies. I'm sounding the alarm. It's time to fight. But all we have is just a network of alarm sounders. Oh, he's sounding the alarm, so I'm sounding the alarm. So he's sounding the alarm. She's sounding the alarm. They're sounding the alarm. It's a circle of alarm sounders. There's no walls, let alone men and women with swords and shields. What the fuck is the use of sounding an alarm? It's like they're lighting the beacons of Gondor, except the beacons of Gondor just go in a big circle around all the mountain peaks, and then they end up back at Rohan. There is no, or Gondor. There is no Rohan. There is no Romiran. There is no army to ride. There is no protests. There are no, because they've made them illegal and targeted and surveilled all the protest leaders. There's nothing. And I don't say this because I'm a doomer. I say this because I'm not a doomer. I say this because I am a realist. And I have soberly analyzed reality. And I have come to the conclusion that we're fucked. And I think the thing that is making me believe that we are cooked, the idea, the thought, the energy that makes me believe we are cooked is Donald Trump is going to take 10% ownership in Intel, and there is absolutely no peep about it, not even from Wall Street. The government just nationalizes 10% of a major industry by fiat, and that's that? There's not even a fight. There's not even a Republican dissent. There's not even even Democrats are supposed to be against that. Now, I'm in favor of it. I think if a company gets government money, then the government should get an ownership stake and they should get dividends until the investment that we've made is paid back. I think that's common fucking sense. But to liberals and to right-wingers, that's supposed to be communism. That's supposed to be China shit. That's supposed to be Chinese state capitalism and service of communism with Chinese characteristics. And so I on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that's good. But on the other hand, I recognize it not as a sign that we're winning, but as a sign of, it's like when you jump out of a plane and you pull the parachute ripcord and wrenches fly out of the back of your backpack. There's not even a parachute in there. And I don't care how big your brain is, when you're going terminal velocity and you're surrounded by nothing but air and a rapidly approaching ground, there's nothing to do. There's no contraption to build. All you could do is pray. that every single bone in your leg shatters, and that's enough to slow your body down so your brain doesn't turn into paste. Like, you are in deep, deep shit. Like, this is supposed to be the most extreme left-wing thing. He's nationalizing, he's partially nationalizing Intel. And this doesn't even get a... Can you imagine if Bernie Sanders tried to do the same thing? Do you understand the cacophony of panic? Wall Street would be... There would be a 5,000 point crash on the stock market if Bernie Sanders had done the exact same thing. But it's like it's not even happening. This is an appropriation of billions of dollars. At the same time, Donald Trump is saying he's going to fire a Federal Reserve Bank governor, Lisa Cook. This is Erdogan shit. This is Banana Republic shit. And I don't give a shit if she's the first black woman Fed chair or whatever the fuck else. It doesn't matter. It is the Federal Reserve and the dollar were supposed to be operated without political interference. Now, we all understand that there's no such thing as an independent institution that doesn't operate without political interference. But this is a direct intervention in the Federal Reserve and the independence of the Federal Reserve because Trump wants interest rates to go down. This is Erdogan. This is what Erdogan did to Turkey. He said, I want interest rates to go down. It didn't matter what the larger macro conditions were in Turkey. He just said, make interest rates low. And that led to a collapsing interest in the Turkish lira and a crushing of all the savings people had who were in the middle class. It was a destructive force in Turkey. And the dollar is weakening. It is back to where it was in 2021, mid-pandemic. And if you you know, in the grand scheme of weakness, it is certainly weaker than it's been for a very long time. We have to go back to the financial crisis in 2007 for a level where the US dollar was weakening this hard. And I think I mean, it just seems only predictable that it's going to continue to weaken. This is the Turkification of America. I legitimately don't know what to say. Like, it's one of these things where America is built on paper mache. I am a little sick. I think I'm kind of stuffed up. Feeling kind of nasally. Maybe I need to get my deviated septum straightened. Am I right, chat? Maybe I could get rid of my deviated septum, you know, maybe, you know, right? See how it's deviated right here at the tip? I could kind of like snip that a little bit, maybe, you know, get myself a deviated septum fix. I'm just kidding. I just think one of the funniest things about society in general is that a lot of men, whenever they get plastic surgery, they always have to make it like some sort of like medical thing. You know, whereas women are much more open with the idea of getting work done just to improve their aesthetics, right? But for men, whenever they do it, that has to be some sort of like medical procedure because like getting plastic surgery is much more shameful for a man for some reason. It's interesting. Just a little bit of patriarchy. You know, the male gaze is worth being catered to, but if you get surgery as a man, you're catering to the female gaze, and that's kind of gay. That's what they think. A lot of dudes are getting hair plugs more frequently these days. Yeah, hair plugs are the one acceptable plastic surgery that every dude can get. We also, the Ethan versus Destiny meltdown, guys. I'm sorry, but it's funny as fuck. It's absolutely funny as fuck to watch Destiny squirm. I mean, this guy is a fucking sex criminal who is committed multiple sex crimes. And he pretends like we're out there trying to hate on him when his entire life has been slandering and stalking and trying to discredit. So we're going to look at that because it's just bone. I'm sorry, chat, but it's fucking funny. And if you can't have fun laughing at them fighting each other, then why are you even here? And another really cool story is RFK Jr. wants to ban the COVID vaccine. RFK Jr. is trying to ban the COVID vaccine, like outright. Like, you're not allowed to get it if you want it. Now, I got my COVID vaccine. So much for choice, yeah. So much about not interfering between you and your doctor. Ivermectin, go get it from a website. You want the COVID-19 vaccine from your doctor? Banned. I re-upped 3 months ago. Jeffries on Trump. These right-wing Democrats. Donald Trump is bullying companies, micromanaging corporate decision-making, and trying to take over the Federal Reserve. Hugo Chavez would be proud. Why aren't Republicans and so-called defenders of the free market complaining? Complete phonies. God, he's such a fucking loser. He's such a fucking loser, dude.
Conservative they really are. And how they ask a liberal why Kamala lost the 2024 election, and you will find out just how conservative they really are. And how they would rather bend over backwards to appease the Republican Party than move left on a single issue. Consider their very best excuse that Kamala Harris lost the 2024 election because America is a misogynistic and a racist nation, which is objectively true. But if it came down to...
No, it's not. No, it's not. She did not lose because America is a misogynist or racist nation. That is the core of the Republican Party base, but that's not anywhere near enough to win. You can't just rely on racism and misogyny to win. Why can I say that? Because Republicans don't go out there and say, we're going to take women's right to vote away. They don't go out there and say how black people need to go back into segregation. They pretend that they're colorblind. So clearly, they at least need people that pretend to not be racist and sexist. That's just a thought-terminating cliche. I'm not denying racism or sexism are incredibly apparent in America. But if you use that as your reason why Kamala Harris lost, it's so you can avoid talking about reality and the economic and foreign policy blunders of the Biden-Harris administration that disillusioned Americans. So I don't even like giving them this. You can't give the right-wingers an inch. You can't give the right-wing Democrats an inch. And right-wing Democrats lost because they are right-wing. And they disillusioned their base and they did a genocide.
Her identity and not her politics. Because God knows she should not have changed her politics, right? That would mean that the liberal thinks the party should nominate the... But they will never say that out loud. Because part of being a liberal who thinks like this is thinking like a Republican, but not talking like a Republican. Their next excuse is that the...
By the way, he's completely right. I don't disagree with what he's saying. I'm just putting my own spin on it, which is don't even give the liberals that. Don't even give that liberals the idea that no, she lost because the country's racist and sexist. No, she lost because she campaigned with Liz Cheney, who had one of the worst performing re-election campaigns of an incumbent that wasn't under indictment in American history. Okay? He's implicitly giving them, the liberals, that by saying it's objectively true, right? And I don't even agree with that. I don't even agree with giving them that.
The party has become too woke, which by now we know is code for trans people.
Mike, he didn't say that. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Guys, I could agree with someone, but also disagree with the exact way they phrase things and put my own spin on it. I like this guy and I like what he's saying so far, but I disagree with the idea of even giving them the idea that Kamala Harris lost because the country is sexist and racist, which is objectively, like, I don't even want to give them that.
Is how pragmatic liberals will be with other people's rights. And they say this thinking that Republicans will give them
let's just restart.
Credit.
It's only a minute.
Ask a liberal why Kamala lost the 2024 election, and you will find out just how conservative they really are. And how they would rather bend over backwards to appease the Republican Party than move left on a single issue. Consider their very best excuse that Kamala Harris lost the 2024 election because America is a misogynistic and a racist nation, which is objectively true. But if it came down to her identity and not her politics, because God knows she should not have changed her politics, right? That would mean that the liberal thinks the party should nominate the... But they will never say that out loud, because part of being a liberal who thinks like this is thinking like a Republican, but not talking like a Republican. Their next excuse is that the party has become too woke, which by now we know is code for trans people should shut the fuck up. Because how pragmatic liberals will be with other people's rights. And they say this thinking that Republicans will give them credit and bring an end to the culture war. Because part of being a liberal is having a loser's mindset. But their favorite excuse, more than any other, is to say without evidence that leftists cost Democrats the election. As if there's a huge contingency living in Oshkosh, Wisconsin that didn't show up to vote that. And the idea here is that leftists are so powerful that they can swing elections, but not powerful enough that we should cater to them. In fact, we should bash on them, like Republicans. And they do all of this because they would rather curry favor with the fascists than the left.
Well, here's the thing. Like, liberals there are very few people, like I watch a lot of liberal content because I try to understand what motivates someone to make liberal content, right? Like I watch a lot of liberal content so that you guys don't have to. And I have a hard time understanding liberal, like why people make liberal content. And what it comes down to is really like one of two kind of general orientations. The first is the identity as a Democrat, as a core part of their identity. Now, what that means is vacuous. There is no content to it. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like saying you're a Steeler fan or something, right? That's step one. So they have this but it's incredibly important to them. It's like a Taylor Swift fan. It's stan culture, but for the Democrats. That's liberal content reason number one. And the second is this antipathy to the Republican Party, but it doesn't have any like real specificity to it. It's just the Republicans are like a demonic force, and therefore the Democrats are the only alternative, right? And if you don't support the Democrats, you are implicitly supporting the Republicans. That is the entire argument. I feel it's more of a yes and situation. Like, yes, in part it's because of misogynoir, but also her platform and campaign was poor. She talked about strengthening borders, military, defending, aiding Israel, campaign with Liz Cheney, did the I'm speaking shit. She wasn't personable either. She moved further right. It wasn't appealing. There were a lot of failings. Okay, here's kind of my mental. I don't agree with that, honestly. And I'll be clear. So it's like, yes, misogyny and racism are incredibly prevalent in our society. But when we're talking about electoral politics, the people for whom racism and misogyny is something that their vote turns around are all voting Republican. And they have been voting Republican for 35 years or more. Okay? Like, there is no like, oh, I was going to vote for the Democrats, but then they nominated a black woman. No. Because I would say something like 60%, 65% of Americans would vote for a black woman. Okay? Like, they're under certain conditions. Like, does that mean 35% of the country is racist and misogynist? Yes. But I think from an electoral perspective, it's not moving the needle at all. And what's my proof? Well, I mean, Barack Obama destroyed John McCain. He won Indiana. He won Iowa. He won North Carolina. He won Florida. Okay? The idea that racism is so controlling of our society, and he kicked their ass. Okay? It wasn't even close. The idea that racism is so controlling in our society 20 years after Obama, it doesn't even really compute. And he's still extremely popular. So I don't think that from an electoral perspective, you're really saying anything. Like, I think it's a correct analysis of America that America is racist and sexist. But I think from an electoral perspective, you're not getting any truth value from that statement. You're actually giving her cover. And you're also creating, paradoxically, the incentive to discriminate against black women and men and women in general as leaders of the party, because you're implicitly programming the left to be skeptical of women leaders because of the supposed disadvantage they have, which doesn't actually exist if you look at the numbers. You're actually creating the environment to discriminate against women by claiming that Kamala Harris lost because she's a woman. I don't think she lost because she's a woman. I think she lost because she's a dog shit politician with bad policies who suppressed the left and supported a genocide. I think, yes, there's a lot of misogyny and racism against her, but you get what I mean? Electorally, I think it's just bad. I think it's bad analysis, and I think it actually creates a space for more bigotry. It's a way of avoiding accountability because she can't change the fact that she's a black woman. So if you blame the fact that she's a black woman on her defeat, well, then she didn't do anything wrong. And the problem is we're trying to show she did shit that's wrong. So, you know, she lost every swing state, guys. Like, come on. I don't think it's sexism and racism that accounts for it. And that's why I push back on it, because I feel like it creates this kind of rad lib trap of, let's not examine the actual Democratic Party. Let's examine the supposed hatred in the minds of a non-specified other as a way of avoiding accountability. And it's like, we need accountability. We need change. Do you think Clinton did better than Harris? I don't think it. I know she did. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Clinton did way better than Kamala Harris. Like, that's just a fact. Like, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Like, she only won because of the Electoral College and a very lucky very lucky overperformance in the Rust Belt by Trump in 2016. Like, Hillary Clinton was a much better candidate than Kamala Harris, and it's not even close. Like, Hillary Clinton had to actually win a contested primary. Hillary Clinton had to actually, Hillary Clinton was a quadrillion times better than Kamala Harris at running for president. And like Claudia Sheinbaum at 80% approval in Mexico. Like, do we need to, you're saying that Mexico is a lot less sexist than America? Like, come on. That's just nonsense. I don't think she lost of that either. I think she lost because of her campaign and lack of policy. I could also acknowledge that, though, how liberals might be feeling. The problem is they leave it at only it's because of racism, misogyny, when it's definitely not that. That's Doodleburb. Exactly. I don't want us to be using these bigotries that definitely exist that are important to examine, even among the left, as an excuse for not having black women leaders. My favorite politician in America is Summer Lee, or my second favorite. Like, Summer Lee is a proud, progressive, socialist, black woman, never misses. She's incredible. I don't want people not to support her because she's a black woman. I don't want people to be like, I don't know if Pennsylvania will vote for a black woman. I don't want to create that environment. It's fucking shit. And it's not true that it would hurt you electorally. It's just not the case. And so I don't even want to entertain it. Mike, I just put out a video about some of the vapid losers running for Congress as Dems, the Pete Buttigieg clones running for Congress. This might be kind of fun to watch.
Welcome to Radicalize Me.
We might watch this in a bit. Anyway, long story short, we're incredibly fucked because the stuff that you would think would cause Wall Street to flip out, they're not flipping out. Like, this stuff, if Bernie Sanders did the exact same thing, they would be screaming that it was communism. Donald Trump does it, and Intel stock goes up. This is, ladies and gentlemen, I think the Rubicon has been passed. I think Donald Trump is successfully going to consolidate power. Unless we do something. I feel like the midterms are kind of going to be the point where we all kind of wake the fuck up. It's hard to believe. Like, we want to do what we've always done. We want to be able to just be like, hey, the things march on. The Constitution says has to leave power in 3 years. How bad could it get? And he's really fucking old and unhealthy and obese. But the thing is, this isn't a dictatorship around Trump. This is a dictatorship around the Republican Party. And the Republican Party is an anti-democratic party. So is the Democratic Party, honestly. Democratic norms have been defeated in this country. Like, people do not respect. There is not a reverence for the majority anymore. There is not a respect of the loyal opposition. Like, I don't know how you fix a country like this. I really don't know. And we're becoming more communalist every day. People rallying around division based on race and gender. I mean, the gender wars are even more cringe. And now that women are doing it too. And it's cringe as fuck. Like, these annoying ass algorithms, man, driving everybody insane. Abolish the Fed and then what? Have politicians issue the currency as they wish, just like in Turkey. Is that your overall suggestion? I need to get my money. I need to get whatever savings I have out of dollars. I need to get my savings out of dollars. Denominated assets. Well, at least my student loans will be cheaper to pay off.
And on the administration's Intel stake, future deals, the U.S.-China chip war, and so much more. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick joins us this morning. Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you. We want to talk about Intel. I also want to ask your thoughts, by the way, on the Lisa Cook situation. But let's start with Intel, because I think there's a lot of questions in the business community this morning about what the administration's intention is as it relates to buying stakes in other businesses. We just had John Stankey, the CEO of AT&T, on, for example. He's doing a deal with EchoStar around broadband licenses. By the way, those licenses are U.S. licenses. The government, you could argue, subsidizes those things. And, of course, the question that we raised was, what do you think about the possibility that the government's going to come and say, hey, we would like a piece of your company, or to buy one through our sovereign wealth fund, or what have you?
Well, I think the Intel deal was a great example. The Biden administration gave, GAVE, gave Intel, an American company.
Do I have any advice about chatters who are concerned about the devaluation of the dollar? I don't know, man. Like I feel like a kook at this point, but like it's just they're doing shit that it's right out of Erdogan's playbook.
$11 billion grant in exchange for nothing to help them build semiconductors in America, which would be a really good thing. But why would you have, I mean, talk about corporate welfare. So Donald Trump sits in the room with me and Lip-Bu, the CEO of Intel, and says, come on, we've got to make it fair for America. And we agree. We get 10% of the company, which brilliantly equals $11 billion.
Now, Mr. Secretary, I don't want to relitigate the history, but just for context, and I hope you'll agree with what I'm about to say. At the time that the CHIPS Act was put together, and we could critique and criticize the CHIPS Act all you want, the idea was that we were trying to incentivize companies to do something in the U.S. that they thought was relatively uneconomic, meaning they didn't want to do this. And so the idea was, how do you incent them effectively to do that? Most of these companies wouldn't have taken the money necessarily if equity was required on the other end. The world has changed. Obviously, the tariff policy and everything else that's been put in place, and obviously Intel's, frankly, own challenges and troubles put them in a more diminished spot. In terms of just contextualizing what's happened here, is that a fair way to think about it, or do you think that the original CHIPS Act was just completely mishandled?
I think the latter. The CHIPS Act was mishandled. I mean, you've got TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. It's worth $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion company with an almost monopoly on making wafers that you break into chips that we all know. And they agreed to build $65 billion plants in America, and the Biden administration gave them $6.5 billion, or 10%. As soon as I took this office, I called C.C. Wei. He's the CEO. We sat down and negotiated, and I said, look, this is ridiculous. I'm going to take back the $6.5 billion. This is just a corporate giveaway. You've got to do better for us. And if you remember, he came to the White House.
In February, it would have cost you $104 to buy 100 euros. Those 100 euros would convert it to $117 today. Yeah, that's a big drop.
And announced $165 billion of investment. That's what I'm talking about. At least let's make sure Americans get the benefit of the bargain.
Why do you think that all these companies didn't do this prior?
Well, the Biden administration didn't even know how to ask. Right? You've got tariffs, and you've got a real businessman, both as the Secretary of Commerce and as the President of the United States, pushing these people. Micron was getting a $2.5 billion grant to build $25 billion. They now upped it to $200 billion. Texas Instruments from $23 billion to $60 billion. I mean, let's get the benefit of the bargain. You've got to push these people. You can't be a pushover. The Biden administration was just a pushover. That's all it was. It was just a giveaway of money, and the Trump administration is just not that.
Howard, it's Wilfred here. Great to speak. Long time no speak. My question on this, following on from what Andrew said, is what is the bar for the government to deserve a stake in a company for free? Because lots of companies are potentially now beneficiaries, domestic U.S. companies, of your tariffs. Is that enough to warrant a 1%, a 2%, a 3% stake for free?
No, and free is a funny way to say it. I mean, it's correct in that the Biden administration had contracted $11 billion out the door, and Donald Trump and the Trump administration turned that into $11 billion of equity. But the money was already out the door. So I think the key is, where is the United States of America adding fundamental value to your business? If we are adding fundamental value to your business, I think it's fair for Donald Trump to think about the American people. I mean, one of those issues was we give hundreds of billions of dollars to universities, and they keep the patents. Don't you think America should get a stake in the patents, that we finance the research? We give the money. I mean, if it was commercial, we surely would get a piece of these patents.
Why about defense companies, though, for America? Secretary? Why shouldn't the U.S. government say, you know what, we use Palantir services. We would like a piece of Palantir. We use Boeing services. We would like a piece of Boeing. There are a lot of businesses that do business with the U.S. government that benefit by doing business with the U.S. government. Where, again, I guess the question is, where's the line?
Oh, there's a monstrous discussion.
By the way, Chad, I just want you to understand that if Bernie Sanders was doing this, these guys would have communist flags in the background. They'd be screaming at the top of their lungs. They would be calling for the United Nations to like sanction the U.S. There would be a British prime minister saying that he's questioning the relationship of the UK with the United States. The European Union would like sanction the U.S. if Bernie Sanders was doing this. Look what they're doing to Zoran Mamdani over 5 grocery stores. 5 state-owned grocery stores worth a few $1 million each. This is a multi-billion-dollar nationalization. What if can Zoran just take percentages of the grocery stores that are in New York without a peep? Is it true the dollar has collapsed in value? It's dropped quite a bit in the last year. It hasn't collapsed. It's still within the training range of the last 10 years, but it's dropping fast. And there was an extra drop last night. Like I think what's happening here, chat, is I'm not good enough at communicating what's happening, or maybe you guys just don't care, and I don't know how to make you understand, because most people are socially oriented. And so their reactions and emotions feed off the reactions and emotions of others. So the fact that this is happening and people are just calmly talking about it and not really pushing back, you're not really understanding that this is a sign that Donald Trump is very close to like a complete fascist takeover of our country. He's touching the money and they're not even complaining. Okay? I need you to understand how this means that he has won. He's molesting the money and they're not even saying anything. And if you understand capitalists, this is like putting a gun to their head. Like, I am in utter disbelief that this is the reality that we're in. We're in this reality of Donald Trump is stealing billions of dollars via executive order and no one's even complaining. If Bernie Sanders tried to do the same thing, there would be a Supreme Court suit going on right now. Intel would have scoffed and said, eat shit and die, Bernie. They'd be planning a military fucking coup. The general of the Joint Chiefs of Staff would resign saying, I didn't sign up to serve in a communist dictatorship. Like, I don't think you guys get it.
About defense. I mean, Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government. They
By
are.
the way, he's right. Lockheed Martin should be nationalized. He's right. We shouldn't have all these fucking massive military industrial complex profiteers. We should be investigating these fuckers. We should be ringing. I mean, this is honest to God. If the United States of America under Trump nationalizes Lockheed Martin, that is the first sign that they might actually have a chance of standing up to China, because it means that they're abandoning market fundamentalism in favor of pragmatism, in favor of and they're not completely delusional about reality and about the way capitalism works. And they know that when something's actually important, it can't be trusted to the market. I mean, like, this is, how do I get people to understand how insane this is? How do I get you to understand how insane it is? I can't get it through to you. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's just
basically an arm of the U.S. government. They make exquisite munitions. I mean, amazing things that can knock a missile out of the air when it's coming towards you. But what's the economics of that? I'm going to leave that to my Secretary of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These guys are on it and they're thinking about it. But I tell you what, there's a lot of talking that needs to be had about how do we finance our munitions acquisitions. I think a lot of that is talking. And now you have the right people in the jobs and Donald Trump at the head thinking about what is the right way to do it. I tell you, the way it has been done has been a giveaway.
I mean, they're not even complaining. They're not even complaining. They're just sitting there passively. These were the guys who didn't want to give a little bit of money to homeowners during the fucking Great Recession. They were ranting and raving about how it's communism to prevent the economy from going into full-blown depression. Now Donald Trump is seizing hundreds of billions of dollars via fiat and they don't even have a complaint?
For some clues into that, let's get to Eamon Javers with more on the White House and the Fed. Morning, Eamon.
Yeah, good morning, Carl. You guys have been discussing it this morning. We are in uncharted waters here in the balance of power between the president and the Federal Reserve. Now, President Trump, in that termination...
And the markets are completely... I mean, my God, chat. I want you to understand that if Bernie Sanders did the exact same shit, the markets would be in free fall. There would be capital strikes. There would be capitalists moving billions of dollars overseas. There would be fucking condemnations from European countries. If Bernie Sanders did the same shit, capital would be freaking out, and they're not even complaining. He's touching the money. Like what Donald Trump is doing economically is something that I would want to have 50 million Americans organized and ready to go on general strike to achieve by a left-winger. And he's just doing it. And no one's complaining. This is like my wildest dream to just be like, okay, we're taking 10% ownership of this major American company. We should think about nationalizing our defense contractors. Like this is like, I don't think people understand how that shit left-wing insane socialist fucking policy Donald Trump is just doing by fiat. Now, I'm not saying he's doing socialism. I'm just saying nationalizing large American corporations, taking large ownership shares via fiat without paying anything. Like, that's crazy.
Letter to Fed Governor Lisa Cook posted on social media cited allegations by federal housing finance.
The difference is that Trump will not use it for redistribution. No, of course. You're right. Of course he won't. Of course he won't. Which is the exact point. Nothing matters except the class war. And they think Donald Trump is on their side. They understand that nationalism, the vanity of nations, it's all fake. Everything's fake, except there's a class of owners and a class of those that don't. And they think Trump is on the side of the ownership class, and you fucking peasants are going to be ground under his boot. They're going to build drones and AI bots to surveil you. And if you ever raise a peep in protest, and if you ever raise your eye from your slave labor, they'll fucking drone your ass. That's the world they're building. We are literally cattle. I mean, the conspiracy theories of 15 years ago are now fact. The wild-eyed Alex Jones rambling is now reality, and it's being implemented. And they're doing a test run in Gaza, and there is no reaction. You're all tranquilized. You're all inert. You're all and that's us. We're the most politically aware fucking group of Americans, possibly people in the fucking world. And we're inert. We're disabled. And it's not nobody's doing a good job anywhere. It's actually insane.
Authority Director Bill Pulte.
And Alex Jones helped usher it in. The ultimate cosmic irony.
That she made false statements on applications for her personal home mortgages. The Department of Justice has said it will investigate Cook because of Pulte's claim. Now, in a statement Monday, Cook said, President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law, and he has no authority to do so. Cook said, I will not resign. And she said, I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy as I've been doing since 2022. Now, Cook, who was appointed by former President Joe Biden, has hired attorney Abby Lowell to represent her. And Lowell, in a statement, said President Trump has taken to social media to once again fire by tweet, and once again his reflex to bully is flawed, and his demands lack any proper process, basis, or legal authority. Now, all of this brings up a potential months-long legal challenge in the courts. And a big question for this morning, guys, will the Fed allow Cook to have access to her work devices or to the office itself today? That's a decision for higher-ups at the Fed. Is it the HR department or is it Jay Powell himself who will decide whether Cook can come in the building or access her email this morning? That's pending, right around the opening of business today. And then the question for Powell, guys, as we tease this out a little bit farther, is if he allows Cook to have access to the building today, does that give President Trump another reason to try to fire Powell, saying for cause, because you allowed Cook in, I'm going to fire you? That's another thing to watch for as the day.
Chad, I don't know how to communicate this to you guys. I don't know how to communicate what's happening. It's not sinking in. I don't know how to communicate it. I don't know how to make you fired up. I don't know how to I don't know how to make you understand the level of consolidation of power of Donald Trump. Things are moving faster than we thought possible. Fascism is here. Military is being deployed to the cities. Checkpoints are popping up. He's writing executive orders that just to directly contradict Supreme Court decisions. He's nationalizing American corporations at whim. He's dismantling the independence of the Federal Reserve Bank. I don't think that people really understand. He's gerrymandering in the middle of the decade Republican states to lock down control of the House of Representatives. The only place Democrats had a real chance of taking power so that they could block him legislatively. They're very unlikely to take the Senate. And so the only chance the Democrats had of getting a check and balance on Trump was the House of Representatives. And so Donald Trump is Machiavellian in his, I'm going to just redistrict every state I can to maximize the gerrymander. He has complete confidence that the Supreme Court won't stop him. He has complete confidence that the voters or people won't care. He has complete control over the capitalist class, the Supreme Court, the legislative body, the federal government. He's got $175 billion for a Gestapo. I don't think people are waking up. It's fucking over. Why nationalizing shares of companies is fascism? The reason why it's fascism is because Donald Trump is disrespecting the norms of liberal democracy. He's disrespecting private property rights. He is seizing power through intimidation. He's seizing wealth through intimidation. These countries are giving him hundreds of billions of dollars at his whim because they're worried that he'll use the federal government to oppress them. And so they're just complying. And he's not taking that money in order to increase redistribution of wealth or to check the capitalist class. He's doing so to consolidate power around himself. And he's doing so by trampling on the thing that liberals are supposed and capitalists are supposed to care about the most. He's showing the supremacy of the Trump-led state over all factions of society. He is engaging in corporatism and a Mussolini-style political economy. The stress is the last people really to oppose Trump was the capitalist class with its trillions. The capitalist class rolling over and allowing it means he has won. That's exactly right. There is not any resistance to anything Trump is doing. For a long time, liberal Democrats especially, they thought the capitalists would stand up to Trump. And the capitalists are signaling they will not. And the Democrats have destroyed every other center of possible power and resistance to Trumpism. Because of their service of the fucking AIPAC genocide, they have destroyed and targeted the left. Since Bernie Sanders popped up, they have focused all of their energy on suppressing the populist left and progressive left in this country and capitulating and appeasing the right. And so we have no forms of resistance that are constituted. And the fantasy of liberal centrist Democrats that the capitalists would keep Donald Trump in check has been fully discredited. We are in trouble, folks. We are in deep, 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 deep trouble.
It unfolds today, so very uncertain territory.
You are in Fed history here. You know, people are bringing up the idea of previous Fed governors, whether it's Kaplan or Rosengren and others, where there were allegations of some improprieties and they stepped down. Is that an appropriate an appropriate allusion to make here in terms of the current state of affairs with Fed Governor Cook?
Well, in this case, the Fed governor hasn't agreed that she did anything wrong, right? And there's been no adjudication of that through any formal process, just an allegation by a Trump administration official. So I think you're more looking at a similarity with Rebecca Slaughter over at the FTC earlier this year. The president tried to fire her. She fought that decision. It ended up in the courts. A lower court, a district court, ruled in her favor. And then she returned to work after that. And then we saw an appeals court say, actually, we're going to put a stay on this. So Slaughter was not able to go back to work, had to leave the building. And that is all pending in the courts right now. I was texting with Rebecca Slaughter this morning, and I can tell you what she said to me over text this morning as the former FTC official fired by Trump. If the higher courts aren't going to check the president, he's going to keep pushing the envelope and removing the instruments of market stability to fulfill his short-term political goals. What Slaughter said to me this morning over text was, my big point is markets should be worried. Absolutely all checks on monetary policy independence are going out the window.
I'm speechless. The stock market is flat.
He said to me over text this morning, as the former FTC official fired by Trump, if the higher courts aren't going to check the president, he's going to keep pushing the envelope and removing the instruments of market stability to fulfill his short-term political goals. What Slaughter said to me this morning over text was, my big point is markets should be worried. Absolutely all checks on monetary policy independence are going out the window.
Well, okay, Sam, why would she not just present everything she's ever done with mortgages, which I know her lawyer might not want to do, and just say, look, there's nothing wrong here, and move on? Because if the Justice Department isn't taking action right now, and we see her documents, and her documents are innocent, well, I mean, that's going to be very difficult to have cause if her documents are innocent.
Sure.
Why don't we just see the documents?
I mean, there's two possibilities here, Jim, right?
She should put them out this morning.
There's two possibilities, right? One is her documents are clean. The other is they're not, right? And that the FHFA has found something that she did that was check-a-box inappropriate. And then the question is, can she fight it even if that's the case, right? And I think her legal defense is, and this will be for Abby Lowell to decide, of course, but I think her legal defense here would be the predicate for this investigation was itself political. This is a witch hunt, not a broad look at particular mortgage issues in the market, but this was an attempt to target me specifically, therefore it's illegitimate. I would guess the question is going to be, why did Bill Pulte pull these documents in the first place? Was there any predicate for him legally other than politics to look at this?
Well, look, if we see the documents and there's nothing, and she shows you the documentation, I think the president may have to go back on this.
The loans we
if
believe.
There's nothing, but if there's something, it's another case, right?
Oh, absolutely. If there's something, it's what David talked about, which is a proprietary. It's a propriety issue. Propriety is,
was this a proper investigation? Was it conducted for?
Look at the way that Jim Cramer is supporting fascism, which is all of us make mistakes. I'm sure 20 years ago when I filed my first tax return, maybe I didn't put some sort of tax credit, or I claimed something I should have claimed. I made some sort of error on some tax credit somewhere along the line. I'm not infallible. I'm not saying I knowingly did it, but let's just say that all of us make mistakes, and maybe we make estimations, right? And Donald Trump is the king of this. He's done it a million fucking times, where he's undervalued his property when it's being valued for property taxes, and overvalued it when he has been trying to get loans. Donald Trump does that every fucking day. But if you selectively enforce the rules and you target your political enemies, that is not legitimate. If you selectively apply the rules only to your enemies, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say that they get total AI panopticon ability to judge the speed of cars on the highway, right? Let's say they get a traffic monitoring system that is aware of every single car on the road, and exactly where they are on the highway and how fast they're going. And all of us drive 10 miles over the speed limit, but no one ever gets a ticket, because that is the standard and practice of driving. Everybody drives 10 miles over the speed limit on the highway, at least, right? Like, that is the actual speed limit. Okay. If you're not at least 10 over, you're going slow. Everybody's pissed. Okay. What if, when they have this panopticon monitoring, they just decide, we're going to give every single Democrat who goes 1 mile over the speed limit a fucking speeding ticket? And they start flooding every Democrat with speeding tickets. Every time you go out on the street, you're getting another speeding ticket because you're a Democrat. Technically, you sped. But guess what? Now you have 100 fucking speeding tickets. You're fucking ruined. You lose your license. You owe tens of or hundreds of thousands of dollars in speeding tickets. Meanwhile, Republicans are going 80 and a 65, no problem. That would be fascist. That would be illegitimate because you're selectively applying the law only to your political enemies. And you're going against what is the pattern and normal pattern and practice of behavior. That is selective prosecution. And we are in this reality. We are in this reality now where Donald Trump abuses the government to target his political enemies. They are doing exactly what they accuse the Democrats of doing, politicizing the government, politicizing our investigatory bodies, and there's really no justification for it.
Political reasons or not.
Right. That was the discovery we mentioned a moment ago. We think the loans were outside the scope of her office and through credit unions, not under Fed authority.
Right, but I would just I would end this thing today. I would say, look, here's everything I've done. This is not insane. Look, if you traded on something, you don't really have anything to show. It's good. But if you did a mortgage, say, listen,
they're already doing this with green card holders. Basically, green card holders are now censored in this country. They don't feel like they have constitutional rights. That is in prima facie violation of the Constitution. The Constitution says that it applies to all people within the jurisdiction of the United States, whether they are citizens, whether they are green card holders, whether they are guests, whether they're here illegally. The Constitution says on its face that the constitutional rights apply. And Donald Trump is violating the Constitution. He is betraying the Constitution. Prima facie, on its face. There is no debate. There's no logical construction. There's no confusion. It says it in plain text. He is violating his oath. He's violating the Constitution. I mean, it's just that fucking simple. An equivalent would be him going, I've decided through executive order that every state that voted for me in the election gets an additional senator. So every state that voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election gets an additional senator to be sworn in to the Senate. That is in direct violation of the Constitution. He is in direct violation of the Constitution. And he's giving himself powers he doesn't have.
Here in America, there's 300 million people who do this. Here's mine. Here's what my house is valued at. Here's what I did with that. I mean, I have a credit union thing. I show you that. And he's like, here. Yeah, you think I'm fraudulent? I don't know. Tell me. I got the loan. The bank said it was okay. What's the issue? That could really hurt. That could hurt this whole thing. That's what I would do if I were her.
We're obviously going to keep a close eye on it today, and keep a close eye on Fed headquarters.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say.
China is facing a huge problem, an aging population, and a lot of apartment buildings with no elevators.
We already saw this one. We already saw this video. Show me something I haven't seen.
What's in front of me is the world's largest standalone building by floor area. I know you're probably wondering, ooh, what about by volume? Then that would be Boeing factory in Seattle. But that's not something you can walk into every single day. So let's go ahead and explore the global center in Chengdu, China today. From the outside, this building is so wide you almost don't notice it until you see the cars for scale. You might be surprised to know the Global Center was designed by the late Zaha Hadid, the legendary architect who defined modern buildings with her signature curves. Inside, it feels like its own ecosystem. There's a shopping mall, kind of mid.
I think we already saw this video too.
Nobody travels by train anymore. Well, we do in China. Watch me enjoy the business class experience on a Chinese bullet train. And today, I'd like to spoil myself with the business class experience. In some Asian countries with expansive high-speed rail networks, riding the train can actually be a more relaxing and luxurious experience than flying. Needless to say, airport. After that, you grab your number at the reception for business lounge. Inside, there's the usual setup for drinks and snacks. When it's time to board, the staff call your number and personally escort you to your seat. I got lucky today. I'm the only passenger with a business class ticket, so I get the entire coach to myself, plus free access to the mini bar. Now I get to enjoy the fully inclined seat and a blanket on top to take a little nap. There's no turbulence, so I get to nap comfortably while traveling at 347 kilometers per hour. To my uneducated American fans, that's 215 miles per hour. Lunch is included in the ticket, and it's served directly by the attendant. Nobody travels by train anymore. Bitch, please. Nobody travels by...
The Chinese high-speed rail system was basically started the same year that California passed their own high-speed rail referendum. And they have built, I think it's 45,000 kilometers last I checked. How many kilometers of high-speed rail in China. According to the AI, there's 48,000 kilometers, or 30,000 miles. So here you go, chat. 2008. Oh, come on. Don't give me this shit. 2008, they had 672 kilometers of high-speed rail. That's the same year California passed their high-speed rail referendum. And what has been accomplished?
Here in China, they got rid of all the homelessness by simply making sure people had easy access to food. Hey, so this is so funny because it's true. So here in China, they got rid of all the homelessness by simply making sure people had easy access to food, to shelter, and to the necessities in life. And Israel and the U.S., I think it was 2022, they voted against like a UN vote for making food a human right, claiming that it was some, basically it would take away your freedom of autonomy if you had food as a human right. Well, actually, guys, we don't have a choice about eating. You have to eat, otherwise you'll die. So with that said, China, has recognized.
Thoughts on this critics on China? I saw that video before, and it cites U.S. State Department and U.S. CIA propaganda articles. I don't think that in general, usually written by the Heritage Foundation. I wouldn't listen. I'm not saying never be skeptical of China. I think you should be skeptical of any international institution or any country that is engaging in international trade. But I don't think you should be using the Heritage Foundation and the CIA. There was a massive funding for anti-Chinese propaganda that was passed last year. And so you're starting to see the fruits of that. So if I see someone who's just starting to throw out Heritage Foundation propaganda against China, it's probably because they're being paid. Yeah, here it is. House passes $1.6 billion to deliver anti-China propaganda overseas. This was last year, September 11th, 2024. Since at least 2016, foreign interference in American elections and civil society has become central to American political discourse. The issue is taken extremely serious by the U.S. government, who has levied sanctions and called out foreign adversaries for sowing discord and chaos through their propaganda efforts. But apparently, Washington takes a different view when it comes to American propaganda operations in foreign countries. On Monday, the House passed H.R. 1157, the Countering the PRC Malign Influence Fund, by a bipartisan 351 to 36 majority. This legislation authorizes more than $1.6 billion for the State Department and USAID over the next 5 years to, among other purposes, subsidize media and civil society sources around the world that counter Chinese malign influence globally. So I do not trust anyone who uses American propaganda sources uncritically to talk about China. I think that if you do that, you're not being a true leftist, you're being a dope. And I'm not going to put that on my platform. I'm absolutely not going to put that on my platform.
Food as a human right, and the cost of breakfast, lunch, and dinner is, and I'll put it in US dollars, about $6 to $10 a day. And for workers who may not be able to afford good nutrition-based meals, work almost always provides that. So here in the community that I'm showing you guys, the street cleaners who clean all the paths and water all the grass and keep everything looking beautiful, they actually have a cafeteria, and it's behind this building here. So the HOA office is the building behind this one, and if you go to that one, they have the HOA office. They have ping pong tables and pool tables. It's also got the pool, locker rooms and all of that, and then there's a cafeteria for all the workers, and they can go there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and make sure they're fully fed. So the thing in China is rice is extremely inexpensive. So even if you just had to eat rice with a little bit of meat and vegetables, that's better than being hungry. So nobody in China would accept that somebody is hungry. And the culture, I encourage you guys to travel over here, because essentially, if you're a smoker, everyone will offer you a cigarette. If you're a drinker, everybody will offer you a drink. If you're hungry or you haven't eaten, that's almost their greeting. So they will say, "Chifan lama, have you eaten?" And they're trying to ask, do you want to go eat together? So again, it's just a culture here around a basic human right called food. And I don't understand in the United States, even as an American, right? I don't understand the position of it's against your autonomy to have food be a human right. No, you have to eat. You just have to do it. So hopefully this was helpful, guys, and it shows you a side of China you wouldn't otherwise see or hear. Cheers.
I've taken very few Chinese classes, but that's one of the first sentences I learned. I mean, one of the things, like, listen, I'm not trying that. China is still a developing country, right? They've made more progress faster than any country in human history, but they're still a developing country because they were starting from a really bad place of being colonized and hollowed out and multiple world wars and then a massive civil war and then being sanctioned. And then, you know, the fact that China has grown faster than any other place in human history is something to take stock of and look to learn from. And they do a lot of things really well, and we should learn from the things that they do well. That is what's great about politics. You could look around the world for when people do something really well and learn from that part of what they do well. You don't have to take in everything you don't like. I just don't know how to make people care. I don't know how to make people aware of the realities that we're facing. After the U.S. takes stake in Intel, Trump pledges many more deals. The president says he hoped to get as much as I can, signaling a shift in the relationship between government and private businesses. Like, if Bernie Sanders was doing this, they would call him Hugo Chavez. They would call him Stalin, taking ownership of companies. And he's not paying any money. They're just giving it away. They're diluting their shareholders and giving hundreds of billions of dollars in value to the government. This is like a wealth tax of 10% on anyone who owns an Intel stock. That's what Donald Trump just did. Donald Trump said, do you own Intel stock? I just did a 10% wealth tax. And no one complained. And he didn't even pass a law to do it. That's incredible. 3 days after the United States agreed to acquire a stake in chipmaker Intel, Joe Biden passed the CHIPS Act, gave these people hundreds of billions of dollars and got nothing for it. And Donald Trump walks in a room and they give them 10% of their value. I'm sorry, folks. This is a different world. The difference in political power between Donald Trump and Joe Biden is a chasm. It's the Pacific fucking Ocean. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain the level of power that he just fucking exercised, and no one is even saying anything. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I'm the only person who understands that this is a complete destruction of norms that have been in place in this country since 1946. We don't do shit like this anymore. The government just doesn't grab percentages of companies in America, in the West. And Donald Trump has such complete political domination over this country that he's doing something that used to cause fucking riots, doing stuff that used to cause massive political upheaval, Supreme Court decisions, and Intel is capitulating. The president's strategy came into full review on Friday after the administration announced that it would take a 10% stake in Intel, a beleaguered technology giant once viewed as the beating heart of Silicon Valley. The acquisition of Intel's stock is the most notable intervention in private business since the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. No, this is more than that. It's more left-wing than that. He's taking public ownership. Do you not understand that this is nothing? It's nothing compared to a bailout where you just hand people money when you buy their toxic shit with printed dollars. This is far to the left of anything Obama did. They're taking it. They're not even buying it. And just so you know, chat, they're doing it by consent. Intel is so intimidated, they did it without a fight. They gave away 10% of their company. They diluted the stock of everybody who owns Intel. This is a wealth tax. And they did it by consent. I mean, it's crazy. And I wish that a left-winger could do this. Like, this is something that I wanted a left-winger to do. This is what I wanted. When the CHIPS Act happened, I said, why aren't they owning part of Intel? They're giving them hundreds of... I said that years ago. Why are they taking part of Intel? They're giving them hundreds of billions. Why don't they get a percentage? Donald Trump walks into office and he takes hundreds of billions of dollars. Nobody is fired up by this. Nobody is flabbergasted by this. I'm the only one. I'm the only one who understands this. Everybody's just standing around like going, what? What's the big deal? This is a complete and utter sea change in America. And it's happening and no one even notices. People know so little about economics. They know so little about politics that this kind of extreme outcome is happening in front of them and they just don't even notice. They don't even care. The stock went up. Give us a plan. Give us a mission. Plan. I can't even get people to say, the Democratic Party sucks. Plan. I can't even get people to look at the Democratic Party doing a genocide and go, maybe this party sucks. Plan. What, am I going to get you to grab a gun and fight? People whine about me making fun of a Democrat. Gavin Newsom, he's owning, I can't believe you leftists are attacking Gavin Newsom. He owned Trump on Twitter. What the fuck are you talking about? Plan. This is unironically MAGA communism.
Support this, support what we're doing. Please, hey, we'll take it because we got to get our message out. And the bottom line is that in our politics, that they're expecting close to a couple $2 billion in these elections coming out. And so that money is flowing everywhere. And until we address that issue and get campaign finance reforms, if you want representation that's going to represent your district, those people can't just go in there with empty pockets and just hopes and dreams. We got to understand there's a game being played.
I'm going to get permit. I swear to fucking God, I'm going to get permabanned. Because this is a corrupt politician saying, listen, the game is I take bribes. And until you pass a law we already had called the Cade-Feingold Campaign Finance Reform Act that was overturned by the Supreme Court, you fucking dumb fuck. And when I said 10 years ago, hey, we should probably pack the Supreme Court because the radical right wing is overturning our laws so that corporations can buy the fucking government, you dumb liberals said, that's bad, that's against the norms. I mean, somebody argued with me like 3 weeks ago about packing the Supreme Court. I said, hey, if the Democrats want to do anything, they got to pack the Supreme Court. And what happened? They were like, well, then the Republicans will pack the Supreme Court. As if they're waiting on us to do anything. As if there's some norm out there protecting us. People are still saying this dumb shit. You people, like, legitimately, it doesn't matter what they do. They're arresting green card holders because they said Israel bad. And these dumb liberals are like, well, we got to do a referendum before we can gerrymander California. Abigail Spanberger's going like, I wouldn't gerrymander Virginia. She's up 50 points in the polls, and she won't promise to gerrymander Virginia. Like, these Democrats are controlled fucking opposition. And I'm spitting because I don't, like, what the fuck is going on? I'm literally spitting. I just spat on my mic. Why? Nobody's mad. And these motherfuckers walk around taking money to do a genocide and they're fucking safe. No one's even yelling at this guy. There's barely anyone in the room. This guy's taking $11 million of bribes. He goes in front of you and says, that's the game. Got to pass a law. What, so he can get overturned again? I tried to warn people. I've been trying to warn people for over... I have been in this game for 13 years. And every single thing I said was going to happen, happened. Every single thing I warned about happened. Every single norm was violated. And I told you they were going to violate the norms. It fucking happened. I told you Donald Trump was not going to prison. He didn't go to prison. I told you Merrick Garland was a fucking loser. He was a loser. I told you Joe Biden was going to get nothing done. He got nothing fucking done. And these liberals completely do not change. They never change. They never change. No matter what evidence is brought, no matter how many times they're discredited, the exact right-wing Democrat, centrist Democrat, corporate Democrat strategy was tried in the UK, and it has been an utter disaster. Everything they said, right-wing Democrats said we should do, they did it in the UK, and the approval rating of the Labour Party is 13%. 13%. A fascist far-right party called the Reform Party is going to win a massive majority. I mean, and how do you get people to change? At this point, I don't know. I've tried cajoling. I've tried persuasion. I've tried evidence. And people are legitimately fans of Gavin Newsom. Have you been to California?
Politics is a game that's being...
Have you been to California? They can't build a single railroad across flat agricultural land. The Transcontinental Railroad. I want you to understand something, chat. The Transcontinental Railroad built in from 1863 to 1869. It took 6 years to build a transcontinental railroad with 19th century technology, and California cannot build one railroad from San Francisco to LA. And you want Gavin Newsom to be our standard bearer? You want Gavin Newsom, the man who has been in 2 terms in office, who has gotten nothing done, whose cities are unaffordable, whose cities are choked with trash and garbage and filth? Have you walked the streets of Los Angeles, California? Have you gone downtown? Have you driven around the highways, which are crumbling? It's Southern California. It's 75 degrees every day. It rains once a fucking month, and there's potholes. They can't do anything. And people want me to say Gavin fucking Newsom. They've been trying to build high-speed rail for 17 years from Los Angeles to San Francisco. 17 years. Next election, an infant that was carried into the ballot box by their mother to vote for the high-speed rail will be able to vote themselves, and they haven't connected Bakersfield. And none of you are mad. None of you are fired up. None of you are like, these people deserve to be buried underneath the jail. Billions of dollars wasted. Donald Trump seizing power in this country. Nobody gives a fuck. Democrats do a goddamn genocide, and people tell you to ignore the genocide. This is a more evil, self-centered, and incompetent country. Donald Trump is our perfect avatar. He is what we are. He is us. And I don't want you to give distance from yourself from Donald Trump. He is you. He represents you. He is America. A fat, obese, narcissistic dullard who doesn't know a fucking thing, but who thinks he's the most important chest-beating fuckhead in the planet. There is not one scrap of redemption to be found in how this country has been run for 50 fucking years.
Played, and we can sit back and be righteous and say, no, we're not going to do it that way. And we can keep losing. And you know what? That's what we've been doing. That's why we've lost, even though we have the majority as far as Democrats, registered Democrats, and registered Republicans. We have a minority of states, state houses in the country. They have a majority, just had a super majority in the state house in Jeff City. They got the House, the Senate, and the presidency in Washington, D.C. Listen, we can't just sit back and just be like, oh, well, we just going to just keep doing what we doing, and no, we're not going to get involved. No, we can't do that. And so I hear what you're saying, and that's why I stay accessible. I'm going to come out in the community. I'm not going to shy away from tough stuff.
Only 6% of Democrats think Israel is more sympathetic than the Palestinians. You could find more Democrats who believe angels are literally real. There are polls that show Donald Trump is more popular than Israel among Democrats. Thinking about the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestinians, are your sympathies more with Israelis or with the Palestinians? 46% of Republicans say Israelis. 49% of Democrats say Palestinians. Both equally has the rest of the Democrats. Thinking about the ongoing conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, I mean, like, look at young people. Democrats 18 to 34, it's 58% more with the Palestinians. Only 24% of Republican young people like Israel. Israel can't even crack 30%, and we're letting them do a fucking genocide on our dime. We don't live in a democracy. And this is, look at this. I've been talking about this for years. The Democratic Party is in full-blown collapse. But we have leaders who are wanting
Trump's approval.
AOC and Bernie Sanders are wanting, let's be honest, let's be frank, let's be clear. AOC and Bernie Sanders are fucking losers. We have one guy, Zoran, who has any balls. We have Summer Lee. We have Rashida Tlaib. We have Zoran. We have barely anybody. And Bernie Sanders and AOC with their pathetic capitulating to Joe Biden. The most shameful, discrediting crap at the DNC. And then the defense of Iron Dome funding. How the fuck is that real?
Ratings are in the toilet. But Democrats may be in big trouble, too, especially with the midterms already looming. An eye-opening report from the New York Times reveals the party has been absolutely hemorrhaging voters. In fact, of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in every one of them from 2020 to 2024. The Times are...
Democrats are not popular anywhere. They're not even popular in the places that they have complete control, because when you give the Democratic Party complete control, like they have in California, they don't do anything with it. They don't have success. Vote blue no matter who is California personified, and they can't even build a fucking single railroad. They can't build public transit that doesn't suck shit. They can't provide housing. I mean, what can you even say?
Reports that 4 year swing toward the Republicans adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb themselves out from. Basil and Cameron are still here at the table with us. Cameron, I'm going to go.
Why is this Cameron guy being promoted? I know he went on Hassan's stream, which I think was a major mistake by Hassan. I just want to go out there and say it. He's being promoted because he's a right winger. He's in the Bulwark, and he's a right winger. So he gets promoted everywhere.
Go to you first. What the heck are the Democrats doing wrong?
I was actively encouraging a lot of other Zoomers to vote for Kamala Harris. And when I was talking to people, knocking doors, meeting with organizers, despite reading all of the campaign literature and following the social media and everything, I could not very clearly explain what I was telling people to vote for. I could tell them what I was telling people to vote against. But at this point, running elections on who we need to be voting to stop and running on maintaining some sort of status quo that isn't working for people, it is so unbelievable that anybody thinks that that could be effective. You look at the mayoral race in New York City. I talk about it a lot, but also I talk about young people, and Mamdani was able to get an insane amount of youth turnout, so we have to talk about it. Andrew Cuomo was running for mayor on I'm a familiar face and I'm not the scary Muslim socialist. Zoran, whether you love him or hate him, you can explain in 3 to 5 points what he was asking you to vote for. So you look at something like that and you say, okay, when somebody was casting their ballot for him, they had an idea of what was going to change because of the ballot that they cast. Whereas so many Democrats in the party right now, especially in the establishment, are just saying, look how awful this authoritarianism is. We ought to stop that. Meanwhile, they are failing to give us any reason to believe that they can meet that moment in the first place. We do not feel like an opposition party. So if you're running on being an opposition party and you have nothing to show for it for the past 2 years, I don't understand how they expect voters to respond to that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, you have to want something. And I always said anger only gets you to 49%. You have to actually embrace your candidate to get to the 51%, which is what you're talking about with Mamdani. He created a movement around his candidacy. You know, one of the first things that my mentor told me when I got in this business 30 years ago was that every movement becomes an institution. And the movement that encouraged me to get into Democratic politics back in the Jesse Jackson era and Rainbow Push, I think a lot of younger voters view us as the institution now, and I understand that. I mean, I'm still think I'm a fairly young guy, but
you are with that jacket on. That's definitely not.
There is absolutely nothing more pathetic than a centrist Democrat shill on MSNBC. I'm so glad this shit is dying out. Twitch's top botter says the F slur multiple times. What's this?
We are no longer called like this is why we need to bring the word faggot back. Right. Okay. The reason why that is because
so this guy is a complete fucking loser, and he's a botter, and I know he bots. I know you buy your viewership, you fucking hack. So let's give him exactly what he wants. Let's give him exactly what he wants. He wants a fucking ban. Let's give him the ban. Period. Let's give him exactly what he wants. Let's give him the ban that he wants. Fuck this piece of shit. Fuck him. Let's give him exactly what he wants. Everybody get in there, hit that VOD, hit that report button. He wants to be banned so he could be like, oh, my free speech is being suppressed. I can't say the F slur. Dude, you don't have sex with women. Like, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding with these F slurs? Who are you fucking kidding? Mike, how's that camera guy right wing? He sounded pretty reasonable. What are his right wing views? This is why, like, with all due respect, this is why I'm dooming. You are a Central Committee streamer watcher you have 19 months subscriber. You can't figure out why that he's a right winger. He's on the Bulwark, which is made up of never Trump Republicans. He's being vetted on MSNBC with what fucking legitimacy? Report that motherfucker. Report him. Get him out of here.
Thank you. Not a lot of people can pull that off. I was going to say, that's a lot of style.
I went to Columbia, teaches at Columbia. People think that we were roommates.
Piece of shit.
But, but what ends up happening is that people, like, one of the things that I think has become an issue is that people like me need to know when to step aside, because there are a lot of voters that view the party as too old, too entrenched, immovable. And this is a massive problem.
Can you hit up Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries?
Entrenched, immovable, and old. AKA, we just need to put in young dipshits. We just need to put in people like this.
Democracies around the world have brief periods every few years called campaign season. Here in America, we love campaign season so much, we decided to do it year-round. And because of how our election cycles work, next year is the Democratic Party's chance to win back some seats in Congress. So, while we're currently over 6 months away from the first state primaries of 2026, and over a year from the general election, it's time for these focus-tested assholes to shove themselves in your face. And with mega-old Democrats rapidly losing touch with their base and increasingly dying in office, things are sure to get contentious with any young primary challengers. I've picked out a couple of these challengers to see what kind of fight they're bringing to next year's races. Meet the candidates. The first of many text messages I received this election cycle was from Liam Elkind, the Gen Z primary challenger to Jerry Nadler, who is currently the representative from New York's 12th district. Nadler is nothing special in my book, but notably, he endorsed Zoran Mamdani after his primary win, along with AOC, while fellow New Yorkers Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, the House and Senate Democratic leaders, respectively, have not. But what's Elkind's deal? He's quoted in the foreword as saying, "We need new leaders with the energy and urgency to meet this moment." He would be new. The guy's only 26, but what kind of energy and urgency is he bringing to this moment? Elkind on Monday launched his campaign with a 2-minute video reminiscent of Zoran Mamdani's viral street-level, direct-to-camera clips that led him to victory in the New York City Democratic mayoral primary. Ah, yes, it was the clips, you guys. Zoran won because everyone loves his clips.
Clip, you fool.
But okay, let's check out his clip game.
The Democratic Party is dying. We're losing votes.
The last 8 members of Congress who have died, all of them are Democrats.
The suffocating gerontocracy.
Older incumbents should step aside.
I actually like this. He starts with a mild to moderate gut punch. The party is dying metaphorically, but also elected officials are literally dying in office because so many of them are so old. It's attention grabbing and it's about a real problem. Policy, but at least real.
Losing elections.
Why are Republicans doing a better job of electing young leaders?
Losing our democracy.
Democrats are not taking this issue seriously, but they need to.
Democrats are losing and democracy is under attack. Okay, fine. Still no policy, but we're only 10 seconds in.
And the leaders who got us here are refusing to retire with devastating consequences.
Roe versus Wade is overruled.
In the last 5 months, 3 House Democrats passed away, allowing Trump's billionaire bill gutting health care and food stamps for millions of people to go through by 1 vote. Our leaders need to answer the call now, and they aren't. So today, I'm respectfully asking my Congressman Jerry Nadler to consider retiring.
Telling these ancient cretins to retire is great, but I have an issue with the fact that we're almost a minute in now, and all he's talked about is how Democrats are too old, and they keep dying so they lose votes in Congress. But if all you want to do with the majority is block the worst of the Republican agenda, that's just not enough. Yeah, the big beautiful bill passed by 1 vote because old Democrats died. RBG died in office, and Roe was overturned. Those are bad things. But you need to have a positive agenda as well as opposing the Republicans.
They're telling us to give them 10 more years in office, even as they say,
I'm not sure there's much we can do about it. We will have to wait.
I was born and raised in New York City and went to public school here. And when COVID hit, I didn't wait. I put my phone number on a flyer and started delivering food to seniors and others in need.
Liam helped thousands of seniors just like me.
If you called the government hotline and asked for help getting food, they said to call me. But people's lives shouldn't depend on one person picking up his phone.
This part is fine. It's actually pretty cool that he did this, but there's a problem. When he says the government was overwhelmed and started sending people to him, that was a perfect opportunity to talk about why that happened and what program he wants to champion in Congress to get food to people in emergencies, or even a food delivery system year-round for seniors, disabled people, single parents, low income, etc. That's what Zoran would have done, but instead this guy just uses it as an example of how he acted quickly, while Nadler and others say they had to wait when it comes to Trump. So the food delivery is irrelevant, and he's criticizing Nadler for an entirely separate issue or no issue. Elkind just wants Democrats to take on Trump, but doesn't say specifically how or on what they're failing.
We can't wait to actually fight Trump, end corruption, ban corporate PAC money, impose term limits, build more housing, and serve our neighbors in need. I'm Liam Elkind, and I'm running for Congress because we can't wait.
Can't wait for what?
Trump is vague, end corruption is vague, ban corporate PAC money is a real thing and a good policy, I'll give him that. Impose term limits, meh. Build more housing.
Right-wing bullshit.
I have little doubt this guy means abundance agenda, cutting red tape, giving funds to private developers with no guarantees of affordability. In fact, let's take a slight detour on housing. Here's what his website says about housing. When the current incumbent was first elected, the average one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan cost $541 per month. Now the average is almost $5,000. Meanwhile, 40% of the buildings in Manhattan would be illegal to build today. Simply put, life has become unaffordable because our leaders have made it impossible to find new housing.
Find new housing, guys. Find new housing. That's the problem. You're just not finding it. It's not that the government's ability to build social and public housing has been stripped and we've gone in this voucher and market fundamentalist, shithole toilet. No. You're just not finding it.
Housing. Liam will lower the rent by investing in new affordable housing. We have to read between the lines a little bit, but in a moment you'll see how this housing statement is a not-so-subtle dog whistle to the private real estate market. A minute ago I mentioned the abundance agenda, which, if you're not familiar, comes from the book Abundance, written by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson and released in March 2025. In it, they argue that the housing crisis is mostly a supply and demand issue. Housing is too expensive because we're not building enough, and because housing is too expensive and there's not enough of it, people become homeless, they live with their parents, they can't move out of their current place and free it up for someone else.
Oh my God. Thank you, Vio. French toast with a lot of whipped cream. Diet sabotaged. Wow. With a cherry compote. Wow. Thanks, Vio.
Etc. Like most supply and demand arguments, this is oversimplified at best. As far as I know, not enough housing might be part of the problem, but Team Abundance very deliberately ignores that housing is subject to price gouging, just like food, healthcare, and other commodities with inelastic demand and often inadequate regulation. Combine this with the financialization of the entire American economy, meaning that for much of the capitalist class, almost everything has become a speculative asset, and you have an environment where we have almost forgotten that commodities can have use value. In the case of housing, use value would mean living in the fucking housing. The other thing the Abundanites argue is that the reason we're not building more housing is that there's too much red tape. This is kind of an old...
This is radicalized me. He's chill. Here's a Mike from PA head. I'm helping out small creators, chat, like myself.
Timey term for bureaucracy or institutional barriers. Again, there might be some truth to this. There are aspects of bureaucracy that we socialists would want to get rid of too, but a lot of the time, cutting red tape means cutting regulations on environmental impact, fire safety, structural integrity, disability accommodations, and of course, union busting. With that out of the way, let's go line by line through Elkind's housing statement. When the current incumbent was first elected, the average one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan cost $541 per month. Now the average is almost $5,000. I looked this up, and $541 in 1976, when Nadler was first elected, should be $3,143 in 2025. If you live in New York, your rent should be almost $2,000 less than it is. Meanwhile, 40% of the buildings in Manhattan would be illegal to build today. I first read this as a dog whistle about regulations. Because of his centrist, non-committal approach, I interpret it to mean that we built more housing back when there were fewer regulations.
I appreciate this section, but I think we've talked about it a lot. So let's skip ahead to the Zoran section just to compare and contrast.
His first campaign ad.
This evening, New York Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury.
The first 10 seconds aren't the most substantive. Everyone does some version of this, establishing themselves as part of the community. Nothing wrong with it.
Every politician says New York is the greatest city on the globe. But what good is that if no one can afford to live here?
Zoran also starts with a dig at his incumbent opponent, quoting Eric Adams as saying New York City is the greatest planet on the globe. On the globe is a weird way to say that, but it's very Eric Adams.
City.
The thing I love about Eric Adams is he doesn't think about what he's going to say before he says it. He's more of a jazz artist with language, you know? He just goes for it, no wrong notes.
You should always, when your child brings in his popular knapsack with many different locations.
But Zoran's dig at Adams is not just about his age or the speed at which he acts. He uses this idea of New York being the greatest city in the world as a jumping off point to talk about affordability, and in no vague terms.
The cost of living is the real crisis. New Yorkers are being crushed by rent and childcare. The slowest buses in the nation are robbing us of our time and our sanity. Working people are being pushed out of the city they built. A mayor could
Translated into policy, this becomes freeze the rent, universal childcare, and fast free buses. I won't go through all of Zoran's video right now, but I hope you get the idea that he ramps up and then gets right into policy, while Elkind, mimicking Zoran's video style, never actually gets to the substance. Our next Pete Buttigieg clone is Patrick Roth, who is challenging incumbent Stephen Lynch, another old asshole, in Massachusetts' 8th District. Let's check out his launch video.
Hey, I'm Patrick Roth. I'm running for Congress in the Massachusetts 8th District. I'm running because everything is on the line right now with Trump in the White House. And we've got to have people who are ready to go down there and fight for us and stick up for us and defend our line right now with Trump in the White House. And we've got to have people who fight for us and stick up for us and defend our.
Now, I don't want to get myself in trouble, because we need people to go down there and stick up for us is one of the most pathetic loser fucking intros I've ever seen. You suck. Fuck you.
Our democracy.
So we need people who will fight for us, stick up for us, and defend our democracy. All vague and at worst, meaningless.
And I'm running because of my background and my story too. You know, my mom was
narcissistic shit. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares.
Partly in Braintree, raised by a single mom, and she was waiting tables on the Cape in the 70s when she first heard that IBM was hiring women, you know, really for the first time. And she met my dad there, who just gotten out of the army in Vietnam, and they stayed at that company for decades.
Oh, you hate that shit. You want to outsource those jobs. You're like, fuck those union workers. We need more money for the shareholders.
It was that sense that you don't hear that American dream opportunity story so much anymore that really got me motivated to be in public service for the first time.
He's running because of his background, which is that His parents met working at IBM. Great. That was their ticket to middle-class prosperity, their American dream opportunity story. Why? What made that job an American dream opportunity story? Unions? A higher minimum wage? Paid parental leave? What was it? And what did this American dream look like? Were your parents able to buy a house when they were young? Was it in a nice neighborhood with well-funded public schools you got to go to? This is why I call these guys Pete Buttigieg clones. They run their fucking mouths and don't say anything. They're insulting your intelligence. They take on the appearance and affectation of some platonic ideal of a politician and try to just soothsay you into submission. Also, look at how far we've fallen. We're talking about the middle class, of course. Democrats dropped working class decades ago, and no one ever seems to ask them what's supposed to happen to the underclass implied by all the middle class talk. I'm glad his mom managed to get out of waitressing and into IBM, but what about the people who didn't? All the other waitresses can get fucked because they didn't manage to find their American dream opportunity story?
Exactly.
And what the fuck is an American dream opportunity story? The American dream was always bullshit.
It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
But political rhetoric used to at least treat it like a promise. It was supposedly a near guarantee that if you
like Ronald Reagan would talk about people that are buying a home, number of people that are graduated college, like real shit. Even Ronald Reagan. The Democrats are like Ronald Reagan, but even more vacuous now.
Hard, you could make something of yourself, whether that was a life of luxury and wealth or just a nice house with your spouse and 2 kids. I could make caveats about it all day, but suffice to say, the mid-20th century was one of the better times to be an American. But now I guess we're emphasizing that it's an American dream opportunity. You have a chance, technically. Given enough time in an infinite universe, all probabilities will come to be. So somehow, somewhere, you could theoretically live the American dream. But really, he's talking about the goddamn opportunities. He's talking about his American dream story. Because that's what we do now in America. We tell stories. We share. We bear witness. We express concern. But don't ask us to fucking do anything about it. That's helping the Republic.
And that's exactly right. Like, Democrats basically believe that their job is bear witness, to feel your pain, but to not eliminate it. And a lot of people, like when you went to your mother with a skinned knee, she would say, "Oh, my poor baby, here, let me fix it. Let me give a kiss to the boo-boo." And then she would get out the Bactine and she would clean the wound. She'd pick gravel or dirt that were in the wound. And then she'd put a big SpongeBob fucking Band-Aid on it, right? Like, you would go to mommy showing you that you were hurt and she would do something about it, right? I'm so sorry that happened to you. Ooh, that's tough. Anyway, more tax cuts for the rich. We're going to make the Trump tax cuts permanent.
One more thing. Of course, neither Roth nor El mentioned Israel or Gaza, either in their ads or on their websites. The foreword describes Elkind as a liberal Zionist, gag, but I couldn't find anything for Roth. So I asked him. I sent an email to the campaign asking if he will vote against sending weapons to Israel, a genocidal apartheid state. He said, "We are rolling out policy sections on the website and have not gotten to foreign policy or Gaza yet. We will. I have made some statements on social media about the
Israel quarantined were asked to come to the stations in private vehicles and not to stop on the way. When they completed voting, they were asked to return straight home. I am horrified by the starvation unfolding in Gaza. It is essential that more food and aid be immediately allowed to satisfy the urgent needs of the conflict requires nuance. That is not true right now. This is about humanity, not politics." July 25th? Oh my God. Never
and I'm talking about it all the time on the trail, of course, particularly with advocates. Longer discussion, but short version for me is that the Netanyahu government's conduct right now is totally unacceptable. Strong words. And in light of the failure to seek a serious diplomatic end to the war, and instead seek constant escalation against civilian targets, I am in favor of stopping offensive arms shipments to Israel at this time, the Sanders Resolution. A couple of things. I am in favor of stopping offensive arms shipments to Israel at this time. Offensive arms, the AOC classic. We can't stop the arms, but only for Israel. Not for Gaza, not for the West Bank, not for Syria,
we're
not for Lebanon.
We're not giving any weapons to the Palestinian Authority, right? Like, we're not giving the Palestinian Authority Stinger missiles, right? Like, why is it the Palestinian Authority? They're secular. They recognize Israel. They want a two-state solution. Why are we giving them tanks and missiles and mines or police their own territory? Oh, well, you know, that would be a Palestinian state. Can't have that.
Not for Somalia, not for Iraq, not for Afghanistan, not for China, not for Russia. And at this time, this is the same non-committal doublespeak crap we get from most elected Democrats. There's always plenty of room for interpretation and backtracking. No commitment, no moral clarity, no leadership. Coward shit. Also, in light of the failure to seek a serious diplomatic end to the war is a hell of a way to say sabotage peace talks. I also asked him about foreign policy and immigration, specifically whether he thought that maybe drawing down our military presence around the world would reduce blowback and large waves of immigration. And to be clear, I don't care at all how many people want to move to the US. I just don't want to force it on them by bombing their homes. No answer. So there you have it. A couple of the mealy-mouthed dorks running for office on the bold platform of I'm not a million years wrong. Elections aren't everything. I myself
I want to say something bold. I don't care if a politician is a million years old if their policies are good. Spontaneously fucking revived himself and was running for Congress for his ass. I don't care if he's 1,000 years old. The policy. Put the policy in the bag. Put the healthcare in the bag. Okay? Like, nothing else matters. I don't care how fucking old you are. Shut the fuck up.
Won't vote for anyone anymore who does not have, at the very least, strong social democratic policy positions and moral clarity on the Gaza genocide. If that means voting for DSA candidates, so be it. If it's PSL or SPUSA or independent or whatever, that's fine too. Also, look for parties doing organizing work outside of elections, because that's the stuff we need to build up as this fascist government becomes more violent and more neglectful. DSA does this. But Joe, they're not real socialists. Great, SL or another one or whatever. Just support.
First of all, DSA is way more left-wing than people who are unorganized leftists like to complain. And if you're an unorganized, so name. If you're not in relation to other people and other workers, you're just doing a reading club. Leftism is about other people, not what you believe and how more philosophy of praxis. Thank you, Zed. That's a great exact. I'm just what day? If you like that channel chat to the show, seems like hitting that subscribe button. Hopefully you do too. But the American, and every time a Republican shows their fucking face, anytime any Zionist supporter fucking face, this is what they get.
My great-great-grandfather helped open this university. I am pissed, and I'm pissed at you because I have emailed you because it's easier for me than to try to talk on the phone without profanity. I would appreciate you taking your father's U.S. Constitution book,
tier 3.
read it, study it, make your own lines underneath it, and get Trump out of office. The man is a dictator. He knows nothing about what he... I listened to him for about a half hour today, and I got sick at all the lies he brought up. Now, I'm about ready to lose my farm. Do you know why? I'm sure you don't know why.
Lose your what, sir?
Farm.
Farm?
Yeah.
Why is that, sir?
Because Missouri does not have wills. They have trust. They have legal zigzags. And a trust, most people don't know anything about. So I'm dealing with a state that's a crooked state, doesn't care about what farmers happen. The only reason why we have farmers today is because the federal government funds them. How much money of our tax money goes to farmers? Farmers work very hard, but they're funded by the federal government, not by selling groceries. That's what Foster Farms and all of those characters, that's where they get their money. The price of steaks, $20 a pound, because of big business. You want to straighten out the budget? Start taxing corporations and the wealthy, like we've been telling you. Do you think we're idiots? Do you think we don't pay taxes? Do you think that we don't have to make budgets? You talk about half-truths when I listen to you. You know nothing about taking care of children because you've always had a really good-paying job. You know nothing about what a working-class citizen does. Come down here. Come down here and start trying to pay your medical insurance. Come down here and walk into Costco to try to feed your family, to feed your kid that's moved out, to feed your great-grandchildren. I had a very good job in California, and I'm able to feed my family, and it goes all the way to great-grandchildren. You're not helping me. Believe me, you're not helping me. Take your head out of Trump's ass and start doing your
fucking honest. The vast majority of even shitbag Americans are this way. Now they have some chauvinistic views. They've got pride and nationalism and dumb fucking takes, but they want this country to be taken care of. And if anything, the one thing they're wrong about is how poor this country is. All the wealth goes to the top, and what do they even spend it on? It's just a high score. They don't even spend it on anything. I mean, I gotta tell you, chat, when I go to Rodeo Drive, I say, this is it? This is fucking it? When you go to Rodeo Drive in Beverly fucking Hills, the only reaction you get is, this is what it's all for? It's so underwhelming. It's embarrassing. It's not even good. It's not even like impressive. The public spaces you go to in Vienna or the Smithsonian or the Air and Space Museum are worth a quadrillion Rodeo Drives. Rodeo Drive is fucking boring compared to public spaces and infrastructure and museums and universities and bridges and our beautiful national parks. Like the grubbiness and the pathetic nature of consumerism and how just unimpressive these little buildings are. And it's all for this shit. It's for fucking nothing. There's a headline I covered a little bit yesterday that I want to cover today again, because the war crimes in Gaza are just so, the Israelis are just tired of justifying them at this point.
Israeli airstrikes.
Like the Israelis aren't even bothering to lie anymore.
Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza have killed at least 20 people, including 5 Palestinian.
So it's currently my first full day in Shanghai, and I am feeling like the U.S. is a third world country. That's how the city is making me feel. Please look at where I am right now. This is a mall. That is a mall. So it's currently my first full day in Shanghai.
You can't even get Americans to care. You can't even get Americans to care. You can't even get Americans to care that all of our money is being stolen and sent to the military to be wasted to kill kids. I do pretty well in life. If I want to do something, I can do it. If I have an emergency expense, I can pay for it. If I need to go to the hospital, I have insurance. I'm not behind on any of my bills. But when I walk outside and I see the absolute devastation of my fellow man, it makes me sick. Because the line between politics and religion has been blurred, that's why logic doesn't work. I mean, it's not even logic. We live in a society that is just fully corrupted. And let's look at what the Democrats are doing. This is a new message. The DNC tabled a resolution on Gaza, chat. The Democratic National Committee, tabled a resolution on Gaza. And this is the response from the Democratic majority for Israel. Today, the Democratic Party sent a clear and resounding message by defeating a reckless and divisive resolution. We stand with the people of Israel and will continue to do so. For more than 75 years, it's grounded in shared values and mutual security interests. We cannot forget how we got here. Hamas started this war and continues to hold 50 hostages. Passing this resolution would have been a gift to Republicans, further divided our party, and rewarded Hamas's brutality. In this critical moment, Democrats stood firm, rejected this dangerous effort, and sent a message today that they remained united in our commitment to Israel's security and our long-standing alliance. This is the Democratic Party of genocide. This is the Democratic Party of fascist collaborationism. It is unsalvageable. It is unfixable. These people are evil. They have to be dealt with. Channel 14 reported that Savaret Golani, who ordered the mass slaughter of civilians and journalists at Nasser Hospital yesterday, are angry by Netanyahu's characterization of the attack as a mishap and are demanding an apology to them from him. That is the reality. Israelis support genocide. This is the most genocidal nation in history. Germans resisted. There is absolutely no resistance in Israel to this genocide. They support it. All right, Chad, I feel like I may go a little bit insane. I'm not trying to be too doomer. So Hassan was just named one of Rolling Stone's top 25 most influential creators. And this was his message that he put out on Rolling Stone.
What's up, everybody? I just wanted to give a quick shout out. I'm very honored to be a part of Rolling Stone's most influential creators. It's definitely not an honor that I'm taking lightly. It's something that I believe I carry the responsibility, the weight over my shoulders on. And just wanted to say, very excited for doing more work in this field, in the field of politics, especially in 2025 as things are worsening at an alarming rate, as all of these companies and corporations and the media are almost completely servile to the Trump administration. We have to fight back more than ever before. It's an even worse predicament than the first Trump administration in 2016. So I hope that you guys will continue along with this journey alongside myself, side by side. And that's it. Keep fighting the good fight. If you feel like you are succumbing to nihilism because you feel powerless when you see these things, when you see these events that are unfolding, catastrophic natural disasters, with seemingly no solution from the government, taking away our civil liberties slowly but surely, and all of that gets you down, and you feel like no change is coming, you have to maintain revolutionary optimism throughout that, because if nobody's got you, you got you. Your neighbors got you. All right? I got you. Remember that and keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan. You know, sometimes people will try to be like, Mike, you're glazing Hassan. And it'll be like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't even care if you think that I'm glazing Hassan. I am honored to be able to call him a friend and a colleague, a comrade, somebody who has been a supporter of mine since 2019, who have stood with me through thick and thin. You know, when I made mistakes, Hassan was there to be like, that's not the Mike I know. When I said, don't vote for Kamala Harris, he was like, he's got a point. Like, this is a guy who just cares about what you believe and who you are. And he doesn't give a shit about the optics. He doesn't give a shit. He cares about what is right and what is wrong. Do you know how impossible that is to find among creators? Somebody who would destroy collaborations, refusing to say something he doesn't believe in, We have given up so much money from our support of Palestine. It's actually not even like, it's like rich people problems. Anybody saying that you support Palestine for clout is a fucking moron. Like, you're a legitimate moron. Supporting Palestine is incredibly damaging to your career. It's incredibly risky to your personal safety. It puts all of your family under a microscope. So I'm honored to be able to call him a friend and a comrade. And I will always have his back as long as he continues being that same guy motivated by justice. We are so lucky to have him. We really are. I remember what the left was like before streaming, before Hassan, before, like, we didn't have spaces like this. I think there's a lot of people who think that the left that we have now is some sort of like low point. And the answer is we have fought and sweat and bled to get it to this point. And we are far from the end of the line. We have a lot more progress and work to be done, but we should be grateful for what we've built. They watched that terrible clip of the Israeli SNL mocking blue-haired Palestine supporters. Fuck. Imagine if we still had Michael. I miss Michael Brooks so much. Michael was the king. He really was. All right, chat. I want to have some fun. Let's make, like, the Destiny versus Ethan Klein crash out has gotten even funnier because it's so, like, it's not just that I hate Ethan Klein and Destiny. They are scumbags and they are evil pieces of shit. The delusion of them, the narcissism of them is so hilarious to watch. They are incapable of being normal. They are incapable of being honest. And everything that Destiny pretends is some big deal. He and his audience were chasing Denims around, saying that Denim said call CPS, which was a complete lie. Ethan Klein bought it and started spreading the idea that Denims did CPS. And now, the moment Destiny is exposed as a fucking pedophile, this is what he says.
Oh, my good friend.
Lots of shitting on Ian for being a total dope, idiot, weirdo. Lots of Destiny follow-up, which we're shooting in a VOD.
As Mike C, the view-botting ogre, used the F-slur? Yes, everybody reported that clip. Everybody reported it, right? Everybody reported that clip, right? Let's get
that means a VOD on demand.
30 days.
After this episode ends, we brought to you post-haste. And thank you to everybody for enjoying the VODs. Everybody's, you know, people are turning around on the VODs. They're saying, we love VODs. They're doing wonderful things with the VODs. The VODs these are the best VODs. Lots of shitting on
I hope CPS takes his kids. I'll say it. I do. And I hope they cry about it. And then CPS come for my kid. And then CPS can take Dan's kids. You know what? All of our children at the end of the day will just be fostered by Child Protective Services. Okay? And that'll just be, and then we can all relieve ourselves. He's just going to be a rehash of every other fucking video made. God, it's so crazy how this fucking retard, as he's spamming on Instagram and coughing and dying of whatever diseases he has, is telling me like, oh, Destiny, I used to like you so much and you need help and blah, blah, blah. It's like the exact shit that Assad was doing to him. Good memes. It's all good. I like it. I love the attention.
Now, is Ethan Klein gonna shit and piss his pants because Destiny said to call CPS directly? Something that I never said, Hassan never said, Adams never said, Casey Tron never said. But honestly, chat, this is fucking hilarious because Destiny has been trying to turn Ethan against Hassan for 2 years. Ethan Klein is such a dumb narcissist, fucking Zionist, that he fell for the manipulation. And Ethan Klein's audience has been hollowed out and replaced by DGG skinwalkers. And then Destiny does open and notorious child pornography consumption and pedophilia. And Ethan thinks, well, even Destiny's audience will be against that. They aren't against anything. They are nihilistic sadists. They're Destiny fans because they believe in nothing, because they only want to inflict harm and pain on the world and humiliation. That's their entire what's that, raise d'etre? Like, that's their entire reason for being. It's why they get up in the morning. They believe in nothing. The two-thread solution. That's a Holocaust joke. The beginning of this video in the chat is a Holocaust joke.
Our Destiny update video. Which, does anyone care? Like, bro, you did that shit.
Does anyone care? Oh, they're so happy. Oh my god. All the guys in the cuck chairs finally have somebody that they can laugh with Ethan about again, because they've been too much of a fucking spineless fucking coward to say anything about their actual cum source Hassan for the past year while Ethan's been going with it on stream. Oh, how cute. I'm so happy that they all have something to bond over now. I will be your shared enemy that you hate. That's fine. I hope that rabid DGGers don't hack their accounts again like...
So here he is. He's directly calling... By the way, chat, he's directly calling for his audience to do stochastic terrorism and hack their accounts. That's what he's directly calling for. Ethan crying about Snark, get ready for the full wrath of the cult, which is weaker in ranks now than it was over the past 3 to 5 years when we were being cyberstalked. Ethan Klein couldn't handle one day as me. When I was a 200 viewer streamer, I was being stalked by this guy. And I persevered and I beat them. And I wasn't being propped up. I want you to know, I was not being propped up. I was not being protected. People were not rallying to my defense. If anything, they were rallying to Vosh's defense. They were rallying to Destiny's defense. I struggled and defeated these fuckers. Do you know how many people I've had to somewhat beef with me over the years? Do you understand how many people have beef with me over the years? And I got no solidarity at all. People stalking me, people creating clips out of context, lying about me, stalking my friends, researching my family, doing opposition research of the Republicans. These fuckers haven't gotten 1% of the energy.
What was it? That Star Killer, the AB guy, when he was caught posting in the Snark subreddit, and then he was like, I think it wasn't actually me. It was a DGG hacked my account. What the fuck? None of us even knew who the fuck this guy was. I still don't even know half the crew on this show. I only know this guy's Dan because I have a Dan and they're both called Dan.
Like arguing the semantics of like, actually, it's called a hebephile. It means I just want to fuck teenagers, not children.
Who's even arguing any of this? You called me a...
That's you, motherfucker. Can someone give me the Abiba clip? Please, someone give me the Abiba clip. You literally argued that. You said in a debate that you fucking a child wouldn't even make you a pedophile. You've said all of this shit. You said like 3 days ago that 15-year-olds are hot. All of this is stuff that you've said. You had a fan send you pictures of them when they were 12 years old. And you said you would want to bend them over their little trikes or whatever. You are and have been an open and notorious pedophile. You had the ethical CP debate. He had a debate where he was like, well, what if somebody was raped as a child and it was filmed? And then later when they're 18, the pedophiles could pay the person to consent for that to be legal child porn. And he said that would be ethical. As long as the person who was abused as a child consented, then it could be legal child porn. That would be ethical child porn. That's what he said. He wanted to create an archive of ethical child porn where all the victims would consent to that being used to sexually gratify pedophiles. He said that that would be ethical child porn, and that if it caused pedophiles to be less likely to abuse real children, that would be a good thing. And there was no evidence of that at all.
Did you guys read Matt Gaetz? And here's the, technically speaking, Matt Gaetz is, and just hear me out. The term pedophile, people who are attracted that are prepubescent.
Actually, that's not the case. Pedophile refers to any sexual activity of a person who is a child. Child is defined as someone under the age of majority. The age of majority is the age at which you become an adult. Everybody in America who's under 18 is below the age of majority, therefore is a child. Being sexually attracted to children makes you a pedophile. Now, there is a term within the psychiatric term of art, the psychiatric community, referring to the exact type of sexual deviant you are, whether you are sexually attracted to teenagers versus puberty, people in puberty or people that are prepubescent. But you are a pedophile if you're attracted to anyone who's below the age of majority. If you're sexually interested or fixated on them, that makes you a pedophile. I'm sorry to correct the joke, but it's important to correct the joke.
Then there's something called a hebephile. That's people are trying. But I think the reason we don't make those is because they think like a pedophile. Did you guys read Matt Gaetz?
And let me tell you, chat, he sounds like a pedophile.
Pedophile! And now you're saying that if you fuck a 19-year-old, it's the same thing. There's a difference between a pedophile who fucks kids, okay? something that your country, Israel, is notoriously known for giving cover for. Pro-Palestine.
Wait. Now Israel's a pedophile home? Wait a minute. Destiny, I thought you loved Israel. I thought they shared your values. What happened? Somebody criticized him, so his values are out the table.
I want to walk through the conversation. We could do it. What do you think a pedophile is?
Somebody who's attracted to kids.
Yes. Somebody who's attracted to prepubescent children. That's what a pedophile is.
That's what you said to your way.
If a 29-year-old fucks a 16-year-old, that's not technically pedophilia. They're not a child. It's just somebody that's using a minor.
Bro, okay, this is like a gross conversation that like infects a lot of people's mind with garbage. Instead of doing this debate, instead of gaming for 10 hours a day, Destiny, why do we all get on here for 20 push-ups right now? We can debate about pedophilia and justify molesting kids all day long. And you can
Wait. Sneeko disliked, lost a debate to Sneeko in the cuck chair to the embodiment of the cuck chair.
Sneeko, stop. Destiny. What the fuck did you just say? Repeat that statement.
What the fuck is he talking about?
No.
Can we do some push-ups? Bro,
no, wait.
To this getting filled up with these weird ideas from roaches. It's destroying you.
It's called pedophilia shit. He's trying to normalize breaking the law with sexual contact with underage girls. Why 29 and 16? Because I think he was 29 when this video came out.
I'm sick of blue hair mentality now. 20 push-ups right now, chat.
Oh wait, I want to say one thing. Hold on, Sneeko, hold on. We're gonna do that, but hold on. Destiny, what do you think about the woke left artists like Lil Nas X, Cardi B sexualizing young girls, promoting their agenda on kids? Isn't that technically worse than like what Tate's doing in your eyes, or no? Be honest, because
is it? I don't know how I compare it. I mean, sexualizing young children is probably never a good thing. I don't think.
Well, Probably.
I need an Arabic, a Shahid or Rahid or whatever it's called, song button on my soundboard, okay?
Like, is that really the conversation we're going to be having here with Destiny?
Who's having the conversation? Don't accuse me of shit that you have no idea about. How hard is that? Like, I like all these others, like, why do we even have to talk about it? Why don't even, like, bro, you're the one who's reading down my fucking Kiwi Farms thread on your fucking show. What the fuck?
Actually, I didn't have 60 gigs of child porn. Only one picture. I actually only had one video of child porn. Actually, I don't know if you know this.
Save it for the video.
I don't feel like making it. This is good material. So fucking dumb.
Okay, good guy.
What? Like,
I love how. By the way, I love how Ethan Klein is such a cowardly little bitch that he's like, I don't even want to make the video. Meanwhile, he made like 8 videos on Vosh. Now, I don't like Vosh. I'm not trying to defend Vosh, and Vosh is a creep. Okay, Vosh is an extremely creepy guy, but we're talking about anime lolly porn versus actual trafficked victim video porn. If you're gonna make 8 videos about Vosh, you have to make a video about fucking Destiny, your best friend, admitting to having child porn. I guess you weren't afraid of Vosh's fans.
Like, who's forcing you? Who's the person who is forcing this guy to make videos about me? There's got to be like some super controller of all the people behind the scenes, and I just need to get connected to that guy. Like, who's controlling Hassan? Who's controlling Ethan? Who's controlling everybody to hate me?
I think it's legitimately one of the most pathetic fucking things I've ever seen. Like, legitimately one of the most pathetic things is when you're a schizo stalker freak who spends the last 6 years of your life defaming and harassing me, Denims, Frogan, Hassan. You did it to Caroline. You did it to Will. You did it to your ex-wife, Melina, who you met when she was 18, you fucking creep. How many people have you harassed? You did it to Casey Tron. You've done it to so many fucking people, I've forgotten their names. And then this motherfucking whining little bitch-ass loser claims that we hate him. There's somebody behind the scenes making us hate him. How about this? Shut the fuck up and quietly go into the night. You have the supplies already.
The deep state conspiracy. Also, yeah, history alert. Ethan is the product of a EBBophile relationship, okay? Because his dad was 21 and his mom was 16 when they met. That's confirmed. Just saying.
I'm happy to go home. I know Willie Mack is making an update where he's. Did he post? I don't know. He's making an update video. He's going to lay it all out.
If Destiny was my roommate, I get him late all the time.
Actually, this text message was with somebody else. I've only spoke inappropriately with other teenagers 3 or 4 times, not this one in particular.
That person was in there. That person was like 26 years old. What? Also, can we just say how incredibly fucking weird and creepy? If he thought, just think about how weird and creepy it is. If he thought that these were fucking child porn texts back and forth, why the fuck is he reading it off on stream? Are you fucking crazy? Like, if you legitimately think that these are inappropriate conversations between an adult and a minor, why are you gooning to the material on your fucking stream? That's so fucking weird. What the fuck?
Bro, you're fucking cooked. You're a creep. You are a sexually deviant fucking creep with a clear, persistent pattern of trying to fuck, flirt with, sex with, fantasize.
Pattern? All of my major dramas are with older women, even.
His drama with Denims was 6 years ago. How old do you think she was? There's so many young women that he's been targeting for a long time. He's just lying blatantly. This guy has consistently targeted young teenage girls, including his ex-wife, who I believe was 18 when they met, who are also having BPD. You know, he would specifically target young, isolated women with mental illnesses so that he could exploit them. He would look for unprotected young women with mental illnesses. That was his pattern and practice, or women who were trying to make a career in streaming so he could take advantage of their ambitions and use his position as a larger streamer to coerce them into sexual contact. Like, that's literally his entire career. And when, by the way, Destiny, we have the leaked messages from Rose. You didn't make sure she was 18. You suspected she was underage. You didn't make sure she was 18. And then you told her how it was your sexual fantasy because she lived with her parents. Like, you made her age and you asked her to pretend to be even younger. We've all read the messages, you fucking pedophile.
How old was Lav? Or was Lav 15? I don't know. Fuck, maybe everybody lies by their birthday. Anne of War was fucking my age, right? Like, minus 2 years. Was she lying about her age? Who are all of these? What the fuck?
It's about minors. Just admit that you're that, and people defending Destiny, just admit that you're cool with that. You can keep watching Destiny, you can keep being a fan, but we don't need to argue the semantics, you know, of it. Just admit that he's a creep and that he wants to fuck teenagers.
If you want to call me a creep, okay, then fine. I don't give a fuck. Call me a creep. I don't give a fuck. Why would I care? Okay? You can't even make it through 4 words without, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Fuck this guy. If you don't call me creep, that's fine. But there's a huge difference between creep versus predator pedophile. Like, you have to understand. There's a big difference between these two things, all right?
Not like weird, like almost like they've gone through puberty, teenagers. 16, 17. He just wants to fuck 16, 17-year-olds. It's not pedophilia, technically.
What the fuck? What?
Technically, it's only...
I don't know about you, but I've never needed to check the idea of someone I've dated. Yes, exactly. He is specifically targeting very young, vulnerable, inexperienced girls. That's Destiny's entire MO. And the fact that he's like, well, I didn't know she wasn't 18. That doesn't apply. When you're in your 30s, you shouldn't be trying to date high schoolers. You fucking creep.
Where are all of these other girls and people coming from? 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds? What are we talking about? Does he have like a...
Chad, do we have the link to that tweet he made recently where he said, have you seen the 15-year-olds they're making now? Do we have the message of him talking about that fan of his who sent pictures of him when she was 12? These are all things that he open and notoriously did.
A fan fiction that he's writing in his mind of me?
Only pedophilia if they haven't hit puberty. I actually want to fuck women, or I actually want to fuck little girls who have hit puberty but are still under the age of consent. That's my preference.
I would have more respect for the defenders if they were just like, yeah, I'm cool with it.
Okay, someone said, Ethan, you shouldn't exaggerate the Destiny claims. Okay.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's because you support 9-year-olds getting fucked, right? Isn't he Muslim or whatever? So.
And by the way, look at this guy. This guy has said he is Islamophobic, and Ethan Klein had no problem with that. To Ethan Klein, someone calling for the genocide of the Palestinians, someone saying they're Islamophobic, somebody spreading misinformation about Islam and Muhammad for bigotry, like to spread bigotry and hatred of Islam. That's totally fine with Ethan Klein. Do you see how the anti-Arab, anti-Muslim bigotry is completely normalized? This doesn't even get a mention. but I want to make sure everybody pays attention to what this is.
Your opinion is obviously not very relevant here. Thank you, dipshit.
You shouldn't exaggerate the Destiny.
Sorry for the source, but it's fine. Destiny asked an alleged 10-year-old for picture. At what age did men start ogling you, flirting with you? Courtney, 10. The omni-liberal. You were hot at 10? Any pics? Check DMs. I don't even want to read this. 10 years old. 10 years old.
Off to 15-year-olds then. What is that in relation to?
I never admitted to jerking off. I think I just said like this. I think the log is something like this 15-year-old chick was trying to send me, or was sending me pictures of herself, and she was hot as fuck. It's like really hard to like turn down some of these people. I think.
Wait, how old was she?
She said she was 15.
There is a long-term pattern. A long-term. I mean, it is what it is.
He claims. Okay, so I'm making this video.
Like, this is the reality.
The Destiny update video.
This is the reality, is that Destiny isn't just some guy who made a mistake. He's made a pattern and practice of targeting very young women, trying to target young women who have mental illnesses or personality disorders, who are unprotected and vulnerable with their families, young content creators who are ambitious so he could get extortionate power over them around their careers and audiences by love bombing them early on, extracting sexual favors, and then dumping them. His community had a term for it. They called questing, and his community would help him find victims. His community would go around and look for young girls who were streaming on Twitch with a small amount of viewers, and they would start going into the chat and bring them to Destiny. They called it questing. He would take videos of women that he had sex with without their consent, video and audio recordings they weren't aware of, and he would share it with other people. Or he would hold the recordings that were given with consent over their heads to force those people to be nice to him, to avoid having their porn released. This guy is a predator. This guy is a criminal. This guy is a pedophile, and he needs to go to prison. His reign of terror has to end. He has to have consequences. Period. And anybody who invites Destiny into their space is doing so with full knowledge of this behavior. Like, this is absolutely fucking unacceptable.
Uh-oh.
Which, does anyone...
That he's writing in his mind of me?
Hold on,
pedophilia if they haven't hit puberty. I actually want to fuck women, or I actually want to fuck little girls who have hit puberty but are still under the age of consent. That's my preference.
I would have
Yeah,
more
we already
respect for
listened to that one. I have more. It's important to understand that Destiny is a fucking predator, and Twitch is the only platform that has gotten rid of him.
Worst one that you could look at. There's not really much of a defense here. I mean, basically the claim that I made in the pay spin was that when you're a professional gamer, there's a lot of fucking girls that are hitting on you. It's insane. And the scariest part is the underage chicks that hit on you. I mean, it was a pretty brutally honest conversation, but I mean, I'll back up everything I said in that conversation. It's pretty fucking hard. If you're in your fucking early 20s or some shit, and you've got these late fucking teeny boppers that are sending you, these crazy pictures and whatnot, like, not necessarily nude pictures either. I don't, to my knowledge, I haven't received nude pictures of an underage person. Although I guess it's theoretically possible. I don't know. I've never knowingly traded pictures with an underage person. But if you have like a relatively attractive 15, 16, 17-year-old and you're like in your early 20s, like, yeah, that can be a pretty mindfucky experience.
Or Child Protective Services. I used to be part of this horrible thing called the Bro Squad. Okay. Fucking me, if you remember that fucking Cheeks bitch, and fucking a couple other people that have never been on my stream before, we're part of the Bro Squad, and what we would do is we would go around Justin TV streams, trolling the shit out of these people. And we went around from fucking channel to channel, like fucking around. Like, it was just horrible shit. We went to this channel with this fucking, like, this kid was like 8 years old, and he was fucking broing out with everybody in this chat. For whatever fucking reason, this kid decides to fucking take his pants off and fucking wiggle his 8-year-old dick on stream. I can't even believe it. Oh my fucking god. It was like, I didn't even know, like, we were on Skype, we were like, holy shit. Like, we had to do like a double take because we didn't even fucking know, like, what the fuck was on. Like, we were looking at like an 8-year-old dick, like, on the fucking screen. And his fucking brother, we called him Captain Push-Ups, would like come in the room. And this guy was like fucking 14 years old. He had his shirt off and he was like this. like watching this stream the entire time and shit. Oh my god. Yeah, that stream got shut down. And I don't know if the whole bro squad disbanded after that, but I know that I left the bro squad after that because the shit that I saw was just too real.
Like, this guy has been a predator. He has been a disgusting piece of shit. He's normalizing this kind of behavior to his audience. He normalized discussions of child pornography, necrophilia, incest. Like, this is, can we talk about how dumb Destiny is for a second? One of the things now, Destiny is an art school dropout, which means I'm not being a dropout and being an autodidact. That means somebody who teaches themselves shit is not bad. I am not an elitist. I don't think you need credentials to be smart. All right. I know a lot of people who became smart, who are self-taught, who didn't go to the academy. All right. So I want to lay that out for the very beginning. I'm not saying this from an elitist point of view. I'm saying this from he's a dumb piece of shit point of view. And so Destiny has basically butchered so many intro to philosophy concepts for his audience, and it has metastasized onto the internet in the dumbest fucking way possible. The interpretations of Destiny, which would have been corrected in recitation 2 if he actually took a philosophy class, the grad student in the recitation would have been like, you're dumb, that's not what it means. Read the fucking assignment before you talk about the trolley problem, you dumbass piece of shit. And I want to give you 2 examples. There are 2 philosophic concepts that Destiny has butchered to push what amounts to pedophilia and incest normalization. The first is the philosophic concept of confounding, being philosophically confounded. Basically, people are asked, do you consider, why is incest wrong? And then almost everybody says, yes, incest is wrong. And then the philosopher says, why is incest wrong? And so the people give like examples of like, oh, it's child abuse. Children can't consent to sex with their parents, or there's a genetic, you know, if siblings have sex, there's a highly increased risk of genetic abnormalities in the children. And there are power dynamics, and there's economic coercion. And, you know, they give all sorts of reasons supporting the idea that incest is wrong, right? And incest should be prescribed by society, declared illegal and punished, right? Well, the concept of philosophic confounding is, well, where the philosopher creates a hypothetical scenario of incest, where every single argument that people have made about why incest is wrong doesn't apply to this invented scenario, right? And then, but nonetheless, people still categorically say that even in that scenario, the incest would be wrong, right? Now, why am I bringing this up? Because the point of that argument is not to argue that incest is actually okay in some circumstances. The point of philosophical confounding is to say that even when all of the rational arguments a person makes for a moral position are irrelevant or debunked, they nonetheless will keep thinking an action is immoral, even if they don't have an actual rational argument at the time, that there is an intuitive morality. That was the point of it. The point of it was not to argue that incest should be legal. The point of the philosophical confounding was to expose the way human beings think about morality, think about what is right and wrong, and to talk about how it's intuitive. It's a study of human morality. It's not a study of why incest is wrong or right. But Destiny uses it to argue that incest should be legal and permissible. That is a absolute warping of what the entire fucking thought experiment is for, what it was supposed to reveal. It's not to reveal that incest should be legalized or incest is okay. The point of it was to say, you think things are wrong even when you don't have a ready explanation. Why is that? What is the source of your intuitive morality? Similar thing with the trolley problem. Destiny's fucking stupid. The purpose of the trolley problem is not to tell you that pulling the lever is the correct decision. There is no correct decision to the trolley problem. Under a certain point of view, pulling the lever is correct. Under a different point of view, not pulling the lever is correct. The purpose of the trolley problem is to examine the philosophies and moral systems that various people have when approaching this situation. And the fact is that there are logical and rational and consistent arguments for pulling the lever and not pulling the lever. It's not to tell you that pulling the lever is obviously correct. But Destiny and his community have actually made people think there's a correct answer to the trolley problem. The entire point of the trolley problem is to say that there is not a correct answer to the trolley problem. It depends on your point of view. But now we live on an internet where everybody thinks the correct answer to the trolley problem is to pull the lever. In fact, people were saying voting for Kamala Harris is like pulling the lever in the trolley problem. Exactly! It's only moral from a certain point of view. And the creator of the trolley problem hates that they created the trolley problem because of this exact problem. They regret creating the trolley problem because people are too stupid to use the trolley problem correctly for the purpose of philosophic examination of various forms of moral reasoning. And just to quickly explain why the trolley problem is not correct and it's not incorrect. In the traditional trolley problem, there's one person on a track that's on a side that's tied to the tracks, and it's a side track, right? And then there are 5 people that are tied to the tracks, and it's on the main track. And a trolley's coming down the tracks, and if nothing changes, it'll go down the main track and kill 5 people. But you are sitting at a switch. If you flip the switch, the trolley will go from the main track and go onto the side track, killing 1 person. What should you do? Should you pull the lever, right? There is no right answer to this question. I want you to understand this. There is no right answer to the trolley problem. From a certain point of view, by pulling the lever, you are doing a utilitarian calculus that 5 lives are worth more than 1 life. And to preserve life, you've decided to pull the lever, thereby killing 1 person to save 5. Utilitarian calculus, everybody can kind of intuit that. It makes sense, right? But you're also doing something. You are actively intervening. You are now killing a person that wasn't going to be killed. You didn't tie anybody to the tracks. You didn't send the trolley down the tracks. You are now, by pulling the lever, you have now injected yourself into the situation, and you are actively killing that person. And you are foreclosing whatever. Maybe the trolley wouldn't have actually hit those 5 people. You don't know, right? You made your best guess. You pull the lever, but now you have killed a person. Another way of saying it to make it more clear that you're actively killing the person is, imagine that there is a person that is holding on to the lever and you have a sniper rifle. In order to divert the train from the track, you have to shoot the guy holding the lever so that he falls down and pulls the lever and it goes to an empty track, right? To save the 5. Now imagine you have a sniper rifle. Could you aim down the sights and shoot somebody in the head to make them fall, hitting the lever and saving the 5? I think all of us could understand why people might think that you are committing murder by shooting the guy in the head. The point is that there's disagreements about whether or not it is morally correct or not to intervene, and whether pulling the lever is different than the sniper rifle or pushing someone off a bridge or whatever the fuck else. The point of the trolley problem is to examine those assumptions, to examine the level of intervention, the whether or not, standing aside as a bystander watching something horrible happen versus intervening, causing the death of another person. Is that cause you to become a killer? Whereas if you were a bystander, you weren't. All of these, what the trolley problem is there to examine. It is not to tell you pulling the lever is obviously correct. I'm sorry for going down this autistic brain dump, but I just am so tired of Destiny being so fucking stupid. And people think this motherfucker is smart, and he is below undergraduate level intelligence on most topics he talks about. Like, he doesn't even have like a survey level knowledge on the topics he talks about. He is dumb. He is legitimately dumb. With proper union regulations, a strong and well-oiled public transit system would never allow the trolley problem to exist. So true. So true. My philosophy class had a guy in a truck trying to run you down, and you with an anti-material rifle. The question was then expanded with who the driver of the truck was, whether they were a villain, another victim, or in some way incapacitated. I think that every living person has the right to self-preservation. So if somebody's trying to kill you, whether they are under the mind control or whether they're doing it maliciously, you have the right to defend yourself with proportional self-preservation defense. So the answer is I would shoot that motherfucker without hesitation. Okay, Destiny. Wow. I want you guys to recognize something, that he's just not going to go away.
All right, now from wholesome to absolutely repulsive. Okay, before we get into the porn quiz, I feel like there's something.
And by the way, chat, Dan can't stream.
I'm not abandoning Steve, and I'm not changing my life for it, because Steve has made, like, not even that he's made assurances, but just that these things are not things that are going to happen. I know that for a fact, and I know that he is a good person that has better things to offer to the world versus trying to get rid of him. These people want Steve to be fucking canceled forever when he's someone that literally is making the world, I think, like a better place, a voice of reason, far left and far right extremists.
Do you think, let's say for example that he's right, that Destiny is a beacon for liberalism and in a period of anti-liberalism. The guy is a fucking pedophile with child porn on his computer. Anything he debates for will be instantly discredited by anybody with a moral conscience, you sociopathic freak. You should want him to go away forever. If you really believed in liberalism, you would want him to go away.
Far left and far right, and I'm not going to just throw him under the bus. People are so excited to try and fucking get rid of for what reason?
Because he's a child sex predator, stalker. Holy shit!
Lots of.
Sorry about that, chat. Hold on, there's more I wanted to show you. Hold on, let me pull it up. I went off. Oh yeah, AB, you little worm, you little worm. Talk about your crazy president instead of these random streamers. I did for the first 4 hours of the stream. But we need to make sure these communities remain safe. I literally did 4 hours talking about the Democratic Party, Donald Trump, all that shit.
Hit puberty. I actually want to fuck women, or I actually want to fuck little girls who have hit puberty but are still under the age of consent. That's my preference.
I would have more respect for the defenders if they were just like, yeah, I'm cool with it.
Okay, someone said, Ethan, you shouldn't exaggerate the Destiny claims. Okay.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's because you support 9-year-olds getting fucked, right? Isn't he Muslim or whatever? So your opinion is obviously not very relevant here. Thank you, dipshit.
You shouldn't exaggerate the Destiny claims. Okay, so I'm making this. If they haven't hit puberty, I actually want to fuck.
For all the people who seem to be oddly confused about why I'm willing to speak up against this dude but not speak on iDubbbz or Hassan, here is one of many reasons. Smile. AB, you literally used Destiny talking points to attack me with your boss. Your Zionist boss, as he was harassing me, Frogan, Denims, Casey Tron, you fucking slug, you worm. You were literally there using DGG talking points. But maybe you'll find your backbone. I don't know. Somehow I doubt it. Somehow I doubt it. I think you're going to figure out a way of just remaining completely flaccid. The only thing you're going to get worked up to is protecting Ethan Klein. Liberals will always side with fascists to attack the left, but then they will feign ignorance when they themselves are attacked by fascists. I don't think AB is very smart. I think AB is he just likes his life and he doesn't give a shit who else suffers. He's willing to do whatever he fucking wants to hurt other people.
And now you got one of his allies that he has now turned on openly making jokes about it. Me, after smashing the post button on my last IG story, I don't post on Twitter directly because it's too toxic. So I limit myself to 25 stories a day about Twitter posts and then stumbling into some free snacks for my kids. And the dude is like stepping on dog shit. So he's basically saying like he's feeding his kids dog. And Ethan replied to this in the most civil way that I have ever that I've ever seen him reply to anyone, which is, Steven, using his government name, you are a very smart and funny guy. I've been following your career for a long time since you were cleaning carpets in between StarCraft 2 games. I saw you transition to streaming full time, which as someone who was also working a 9 to 5, I found really inspiring. It was soon after I took that same chance on myself, inspired in part by you to become a full-time creator. Later on, I came around to your political streaming content, a genre you pioneered. You've had such a long and accomplished career that anyone would be extremely proud of. I am genuinely sad about the great potential that you had and for what was thrown away because vices took over your life. As a parent, you know the implications and ramification of chatting with a 15-year-old. You know how a teenager looks up to adults they admire and how easily they can be manipulated. The time for irreverent jokes is over. You need help. This is a long pattern of sexual deviancy with teenagers. I hope you take the time to understand what's inside you is missing.
Ethan Klein is so gentle with pedophiles. That's crazy. But God forbid you say don't bomb Palestinian babies. Then he'll call you a disgusting bitch. Say that Palestinians deserve to be free and he'll say you're a Nazi. But if you're a pedophile caught in 4K, this man says you need help.
And why that would urge a grown man to flirt with a 15-year-old. I don't know where the 15-year-old came from, by the way. Is there like a new thing that dropped?
He shared in a group chat with a couple of his friends. The message is, "You want to see the sickest in the world? So many fangirls. I had one that was 15. She wanted to meet and hook up. Dude, she's 15. What? But she sent me pictures that made it so hard to say no." Then Destiny linked a picture of this girl in the chat and said,
"Oh, that's another time he said this.
Girl on the left, so hard to say no. Gonna get arrested one of these MLGs, man." So in these logs, when Destiny was 23, he said that it was really hard to turn down hooking up with this 15-year-old because she looked so good in this picture of her in a bikini. He then shared this of a child with his friends and said that he's gonna get arrested someday. Well, like I said, a woman...
Let's make Destiny's prediction come true. We have got to make Destiny's prediction come true. I mean, how many crimes? He's got revenge porn. He's got cyber stalking, cyber sexual harassment. He's got keeping and distributing child sex abuse material.
Just filed
soliciting sex with underage girls across state lines.
A police report against Destiny, so we'll just have to wait and see if his prediction is true.
I am not taking any pleasure in any of this. It's all very sad. I do hope you find the help and peace you need because children deserve better. Now, what's insane about this is that if you're in this community, you knew this already, right? That Ethan was a fan of Destiny and was getting his notes from Destiny's community. Destiny's community had like infiltrated Ethan's community and became like a useful tool that he used because they love cyber stalking people and have sophisticated smear campaigns that they can apply to whoever Destiny's enemies are. What's so crazy to me is that throughout this last 22 months, I kept saying, hey man, it kind of feels like you're using a lot of these talking points that you're getting from a nefarious community. And Ethan kept saying he didn't know who the Destiny was. He had no connection to Destiny at all.
I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but I don't even know Destiny.
Okay. And what's wild to me is that he only acknowledged how much he loves Destiny after it came out that he was trying to procure child material. Like the timing on this is insane to me. Like you wanted to literally lie about your affiliations and your knowledge of this person for an entire year.
Well, no, I mean, let's be honest, chat. Why did Ethan Klein sue Casey Tron, and why did Ethan Klein attack me in the content nuke? What was the overlap between me and Ethan Klein, and why was Casey Tron sued? The answer is because DGG fed that information to Ethan Klein, and because we were seen as friendly to and supportive of Hassan. He has been operating on DGG talking points since day fucking one. Why was I included? I had nothing to do with that shit. I wasn't on the Sabra Hummus panel. I didn't do anything. All I did, and the clip of me in the content nuke, is I saw Destiny cheering on the murder of Palestinian civilians carrying a white flag in front of British TV reporters. And Destiny said they were farming TikTok clips. Palestinian civilians trying to get to their family members to take them out of a combat zone were shot in cold blood while carrying a white flag on film. And he said they were farming TikTok clips. And I said, I made a joke about having an opportunity for Destiny, which not appropriate. You shouldn't imply that kind of thing, but that's the reality. And I was put in the content nuke. What does that have to do with you, Ethan Klein? But I was put in the content nuke, and then Ethan Klein went and did what? He took every talking point he could from DGG, every single DGG talking point, every single clip they think I look bad in, and he played it to his audience, and he read the DGG subreddit or the DGG Wikipedia, and he slandered my name. What did that have to do with Ethan Klein? The answer is I was brought in this because I'm an enemy of Destiny. So the idea that he's not directly coordinating with Destiny and his community is a laughable farce.
gaslighting me and anyone else in your community, only to just reveal that you actually were a major fan of his after you called him a pedophile? What is going on? This makes no damn sense. Like, this is crazy.
It's not just crazy. It's legitimately evidence that, I mean, I think Ethan Klein thought that being a child sex criminal was going to cancel Destiny. And so he was trying to get Destiny's audience to come to him, not realizing that they're not Ethan Klein fans. They're Destiny fans that are using Ethan Klein and his community as a cat's paw to go after Hassan. And the one rule of being aligning with Destiny is you're not allowed to attack Destiny, no matter how guilty he is and no matter how evil he is. Ethan Klein, you destroyed your own community to be a Destiny orbiter. You think you could criticize Destiny? It's not how it works, brother.
At 10 a.m. yesterday, Israel bombed Nasser Hospital in Han Yunis. They targeted the reception building where journalists usually gather to film the victims of Israeli airstrikes as they arrive at the hospital. And then about 10 minutes later, as rescue workers and journalists swarmed the scene to attempt to save people and document what took place, Israel struck the same hospital again in the same area and killed 5 journalists and at least 15 other people, including rescue workers, medical staff, and patients that were already being treated at the hospital. This was captured on live TV in front of a crowd of hundreds of people. You know, if you're someone that's been paying attention to the last 2 years of genocide, it's hard to imagine anything that could possibly make it worse than what we're already seeing, but Israel has managed that here. The first 2 links in the description of this video are of footage of these strikes that were posted on Twitter and Instagram. Please, if you can, pause this video and click those links and share the videos to both of your pages. You know, retweet it on Twitter and then post it onto your Instagram story. These already have millions of views, but they need more. More people need to see this. Everyone in the world needs to see this. Truly one of the most depraved, disgusting things that I've ever seen captured on video. And no matter what lip service they're offering right now because of this obvious evidence, all of this is being supported by Western governments. Despite how extreme the videos are, though, there's nothing really new here. Israel has killed more journalists in Gaza in the past 2 years than every other major conflict in modern history combined. Recently, they targeted an Al Jazeera press tent, killing 6 journalists, including perhaps the most prominent journalist working in Gaza, Anas al-Sharif. I've shared his work in multiple videos in the past 2 years, and if you've seen footage of Israel's atrocities in Gaza, there's a good chance they made it to your feed because of Anas al-Sharif's page. The journalists that Israel killed in this strike worked for international outlets like the Associated Press, Reuters, Al Jazeera, and Middle East Eye. Hussam al-Masri worked as a cameraman for Reuters. The news agency reported that he was killed in a first strike on the hospital while operating a live TV feed. News organizations around the world, including the BBC, have used his footage. Mariam Daga, age 33, was a freelance journalist working with the Associated Press who regularly reported from the hospital. One of AP's regional editors, Abby Sewell, said that Daga leaves behind a son who was evacuated from Gaza earlier in the war. Mohammed Salama works for Al Jazeera and Middle East Eye. Salama was planning his wedding to another journalist, Hala.
Mike, what about the thought that Destiny DGG made the CPS call and then directed Ethan elsewhere? I mean, I don't know who made the CPS call. I tend to think it was either the doctor or the housekeeper that had the most direct and knowledge of Ethan Klein's living conditions, right? Like, I doubt it was somebody online.
Asfour, with the pair hoping to wed after a ceasefire, according to Al Jazeera. Ahmed Abu Aziz worked for Middle East Eye. He was a freelancer and based in Han Yunis. Moaz Abu Taha worked with various outlets, including the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, just a fortnight ago, filming a video call with journalists that showed children suffering from malnutrition at Nasser Hospital. The recent multiple massacres of journalists aren't some coincidence, right? Israel is currently enacting a full ground invasion plan of Gaza City. They've already reportedly destroyed over 1,000 buildings in just the past few weeks, and this is something they want to be able to do in total darkness. Israel's propagandists are doing what they've always done, which is blaming Hamas. They're accusing the journalists of being Hamas, calling them terrorists, rapists, and murderers, saying that they deserve to be executed while working as journalists. Truly horrifying stuff, but I mean, what else can you expect from people that are still...
Former mandated reporter here, just what Ethan said online was enough to generate a legitimate report. No, I agree. I mean, he said that his child had a parasite that you can only get from eating feces. So either the child touched a feces contaminated surface and then put it in their mouth, their hand in their mouth, or they directly consume feces. That's a reasonable thing to infer based on what Ethan Klein said. And Ethan Klein didn't just like invent it. He claimed that they might have it because they had really bad stinky diarrhea, which is another symptom of Giardia infection. So yeah, if somebody saw that and was like, there's filth all over the house and it's giving parasites to the children, that could generate a legitimate report. Like, it is what it is. And CPS, it seems like they did their job. They went to the house, they investigated. Didn't seem like they found anything that was endangering to the child, and they moved on. Like, that's exactly how CPS should work. A person saw that children might be in danger or being neglected. The CPS investigated. They found it not to be the case. They cleared the parents, and they moved on. What's the big fucking deal here? Don't say dumb shit like your children are getting parasites you could only get from eating shit online. I don't know who made the call. I didn't make the call. No one from my audience made the call, but it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Propagandizing for a genocidal state. These people are Nazis. And then, of course, Israel and the IDF and Netanyahu all lied. The standard playbook, first denying that it happened. Then, when the footage was overwhelming, come up with some excuse like targeting camera equipment on a roof. And then when that's disproven, claiming the strike was an accident, it was a misfire from a tank shelling. And then when that's shown to be a lie, claim that you think it's tragic and that you're opening an investigation. This is something they only do if it gets to the point where there's such obvious evidence and where the crime is so indisputable to the point where it must be addressed for public perception, unlike the hundreds of thousands of other unmentioned crimes. But again, of course, this is just lip service. These investigations are not real and they never yield any justice. The IDF and the Israeli state operate with impunity in this genocide. They're only talking about this to Western audiences in English, by the way. Israelis don't care about this, and a lot of sources in Hebrew are actually bragging about it because they were caught on camera. And as totally expected, the Western media outlets did what they could to whitewash Israel's guilt in the atrocity. The New York Times, of course, does not name the perpetrator.
Do we ever get an update on the housekeeper lawsuit? Lawsuits take a while, guys. So I don't have any updates on it. Maybe I should check and see if that's still continuing, but as far as I understand, it is. Fox News did a piece on Hassan. Oh, God. Okay. Hilarious.
The strikes in the headline, they just call them strikes. They end the headline quoting Netanyahu's denial, and they also save the fact that it was a double tap strike for the subheading, unlike with when they cover Russia's double tap strikes in Ukraine. Like this headline, emergency workers rushed to the scene of a Russian missile attack, then another missile came. We've covered this in the past on the channel. It's a frequently used tactic by Israel, routinely firing on Palestinian rescue workers, paramedics, and other civilians to prevent them from saving wounded people. The military knows this practice is a death sentence for dozens and sometimes hundreds of wounded civilians trapped under rubble along with their would-be rescuers. First responders, rescue teams, they kill them, they strike again on top of them. While coverage from the BBC does go into some detail about the victims of the attack, it also cites the Gaza authorities as the Hamas-run health ministry, like ABC and other outlets did. To the average reader in the West, that just means terrorist. Hamas equals terrorism. So it's a deliberate choice to use that label. They've been doing it from the start to downplay and discount things like death toll. And the BBC also cites the IDF's claim to this supposed investigation, omitting the context that, you know, these are fake, they're not real things. All of this is part of a broader campaign of genocide, of course. That's the consensus among everyone except Israel. It's not debatable anymore. If you're at this point denying Israel's genocide, you are a genocide denier, akin to a Holocaust denier. And you should be treated as such. And anyone doing that publicly, screenshot it, keep records of it, because this is all happening right now and it needs to stop. And the longer people propagandize for it and defend it and downplay Israel's atrocities or Israel's widespread starvation or war crimes like this hospital bombing, the longer the bloodshed is going to continue. That's it for this video. Please like and share the stuff in the description. And let me know what you think of these shorter sort of news report things. All right, see ya.
I think like this stuff is incredibly important. I have to say, Chad, that Noah Samson and the way he has treated using his platform to advocate for the Palestinian people has been an incredibly like heartwarming experience. Like, whenever you become a pro-Palestinian creator, I want to clear something up for people. Hassan had a Palestinian doctor on his stream, and they were talking about how like people should stop criticizing people for changing their mind and joining our side, and they should stop telling people that they're getting clout from being pro-Palestinian. I want to clear something up for you. You do not get clout for being pro-Palestinian. Maybe there's one or two people in the entire world that have gotten clout from being pro-Palestinian. But let me just tell you, being pro-Palestinian is not how you get clout. The fact that the whole greater Hassan universe, the fact that we were pro-Palestinian has cost us all a lot of money. It has denied us sponsorship. It's denied us the ability to run ads. It has caused us to get hyper-focused and investigated by all sorts of pro-Israeli organizations. It got us banned. Being pro-Palestinian cost Kneecap, the Irish music band, a sold-out U.S. tour. That's millions of dollars of money. You do not make money by being pro-Palestinian. Anybody who says that is a fucking liar, or they're stupid as fuck. No exceptions. It gets you demonetized. It gets you blacklisted. It gets you banned. It gets your ad revenue taken away. There's no exaggeration to say that it's cost me upper 5 figures, maybe even 6 figures for being pro-Palestinian in the last 2 years. Me personally. So the idea, like, and I am blacklisted as far as any kind of like major Twitch event. Like, I can't do those big Twitch events. Somebody my size would be invited to those kind of things. I'm not. I am not permitted to be a participant in most of the Twitch like stuff. I used to be invited to that stuff, but now I'm pretty much not, because why? I advocated for Palestine.
Yeah.
Do you know, I always think about this, right? Yeah. When I think about this, because, you know, like, obviously people want to play this as a religious conflict, right? Yeah.
Oh my.
And, you know, they always talk about, like, you know, say for example, the story of David and Goliath, and, you know, they try and make it look like Israel is David in this, and it's surrounded by all these countries, and it's just this small nation surrounded by all these things. But there's one story here that always fascinates me, and I always relate it to what's happening in Gaza, and that's the story of Moses, right? When Moses led the Jewish people out from under Pharaoh and parted the seas and gave them their freedom, right? Yeah, this was a defenseless population against the mighty army of Pharaoh. The sea was what blocked them, and he hit his staff and he parted the seas, and they got their freedom, right? Yeah. And I look at it and I say, that's the same thing that's happening right now in Palestine. You have a genocidal army that wants to wipe out this defenseless population, and they're surrounded by, instead of the Red Sea, the Mediterranean Sea. So they're surrounded by the sea on one side, and on the other side, they're surrounded by this army. You know what it is that the Palestinians have done? Because, you know, it always rhymes. These things always rhymes. The Palestinians, the staff that they've put, hasn't parted the seas. It's parted people's hearts. It's opened people's hearts. It's metaphorical what the Palestinians have opened. They have opened the eyes of the world to the atrocities of what goes on behind the scenes, to this myth of liberal democracies. That's what Palestine did. That's what the staff of Moses has done in this story. It's not parted the seas. It's parted the darkness, and it's set a light on people. And that's what I feel like. If you want to talk about this from a religious point of view, that's what I feel like this is, like, spiritually. I feel like it's been an awakening for the whole world. I feel like the Palestinians have opened up the eyes and the ears and the hearts of so many people. You know, there were people that hated Muslims, and they looked at the grace in which these Palestinian people accept their death. And it's made non-Muslims come to Islam. It's made Muslims that weren't practicing Islam come to Islam. It's made people lose their jobs in defending a group of people that they have nothing in common with. It's made people go out of their way to start movements, you know? Like, you know, you see people who are like, you know, plumbers and this, that, and they're all part of now the Friends for Palestine of a small village somewhere in Australia or the UK that never had one before. And that's what Palestine has done. And, you know, no matter how much they destroy it, the staff has already parted the seas. They have already opened the eyes and ears of everyone. And that's it. It's too late. The genocidal army is not going to win.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I hope he's right. I hope he's right. And there's few people in the world that are more aware of the feelings of people in Gaza than this man. 2 times in Gaza as a medical practitioner, as a doctor, treating the most horrific mass casualty events of the war. There's nobody who knows better the resolve of the Palestinian people in Gaza. So I believe him when he says that. And I will, if I have any ability to change the course of history, I will not tolerate it. You will not tolerate it. We will not rest. We will not forget. We will not forgive. He was a great guest. He's also massive. Like, he kind of little bros Hassan. Is he like bigger than Hassan? All right, chat. This is fucking hilarious, dude. Fox News Hassan, top 25 influencer, Rolling Stone, Fox News molding. This is legitimately, this must be This literally has to be a dictate from the Israeli embassy. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. The same day that Hassan gets named a top 25 influencer above Theo Vaughn, Hassan PR year for real. Number 1, I show speed, pro-Palestinian, pro-China. We are literally winning. Pro-Palestinian, pro-China. Number 2, Drewski. I'm too old for this shit. I'm too old for this shit. I don't know if Drewski sucks or he's funny. I'm too old. Number 3, Miss Rachel. Pro-Palestinian queen. The Doctor and Hassan side by side. Oh my God. I would not like to see this man play football. Or I guess he's British, so rugby then. I would not want to see this man playing rugby. I played rugby, chat. I would quit if I saw this guy on the field. I'm out. I'm out. I played intramural rugby. It was very chill, chat. It was very chill. I mean, it wasn't. We gave each other bone-shattering hits, but this motherfucker, I ain't playing. I've got a cold. He's Australian? Oh, okay. Australian. I misspelled influencer. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. It's top 25 influencer creators. Influential creators. Influential creators. Okay. I can't type, chat. I'm like, spelling is falling off a cliff as my brain. Like, I don't have any brain lesions like Ethan. I would say that if just as like a general going through it, oh my God, chat, Caleb. I think I might be the only straight white man who is a super fan of Caleb. Caleb is incredible. He's so fucking funny. Let me see if I can find some good Caleb clips. Caleb and Z-Way was like literally one of my, I laughed so fucking hard to this shit. I've watched it like twice.
Are you proud to be a male podcaster yourself?
Yeah, quite proud.
Could you say it back to me, please? Actually, to camera.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Caleb Heron, and I am deeply proud to be a male podcaster. Like on Disney.
What was the sign?
Like on Disney.
Yeah, but what is that?
I tried to do an M with a P on the end. I'm deeply proud to be a male podcaster.
And do you believe that every man has a right to share his thoughts with the world, regardless of his intellect or his quality of audio equipment?
I think men have a right to share their thoughts with the world. I think we have an obligation to mostly not listen.
Oh.
I think really the only men we should be listening to are like, well, there was Mr. Rogers, but he's passed. And
so
then,
your first example is a dead man.
Yeah. Well, then there's Barack Obama. He's really good at speaking, so I like listening to him talk. You know, not obsessed with all the ideas that come out of that one, but I love
Oh my God, not that one.
That guy, that speaker, you know.
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
The first black president.
The first black president. Mm-hmm. And then me.
Oh, and yourself. Yeah. So you put yourself in the same category as Barack Obama, that guy, Mr. Rogers, and Caleb Heron.
Yeah.
Chad, he specifically said he doesn't love Barack's ideas. Come on.
Would you not put me in their class?
Tell me what you have in common with Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, suave, lived in Chicago briefly, political, interesting, loves Al Green, kind of a decent singer. You ever seen that clip of him singing Al Green?
You sound like a stan.
I stan him. I do think he's a very charismatic, charming, interesting guy. I do think, you know, there was some stuff going on. There's some stuff going on with, you know, I don't love that part.
Oh.
I don't love what he was doing with all that. But him singing Al Green, you gotta admit, pretty good.
I noticed that you just whispered drones.
Right.
Okay. Do you think that male podcasters are a community that deserve to determine the election?
Well, no, I wouldn't have that be happening personally. If I could make the world different, I wouldn't have, you know, Joe Rogan, the Paul brothers, and all those guys impacting U.S. democracy. But I guess that is where we're at.
Is that the country we deserve?
Oh, probably deserve. Yeah, I think it's a pretty rough way to start a country, the way that we did it. But yeah, probably what we deserve.
And what was the rough way that this country started, to be clear?
Right. So I would go ahead and say slavery, the genocide of Native American people.
Got it.
I would consider that to be rough.
Rough.
Yeah.
I love that adjective.
Yeah. Which one would you prefer?
No comment. Are you proud to be a male?
I think, hold on.
I'll say, I'm not identifying their sexuality necessarily. When I say that they're being I don't necessarily mean that they're closeted.
Okay,
it's a squares and rectangles situation.
Got it.
Some of them are probably also closeted, like Lindsey Graham.
Okay.
fagginess to me is the performance of masculinity and uprightness and conservativeness and family values that is so clearly put on. The performance of Butch with a lot of these guys, to me, is just giving, it's coming from a place of, these are guys that every man I grew up with would have shoved into a locker. JD Vance, putting on a flannel shirt that you clearly just got from LL Bean and rolling the sleeves and giving a stump speech on a hay bale when you went to Yale and Harvard, to me, that's a little faggy.
Wow.
It's drag.
Okay, got
It's
it.
drag. It is totally, it's drag. He's completely right. It is drag.
Understand where you're coming from now more than before.
More than before. I'll say, I'm not identifying their sexuality necessarily. When
He's such a fucking king. And Hassan is right there. He's like, what is he? He's number 8. He's on that tier. He's right below Mr. Beast. Like, there's just, you know, a lot of people talk about how sociopaths smile and it never touches their eyes. And I never really understood that until I saw a Mr. Beast thumbnail. And then I was like, oh, that's what they mean when a sociopath's smile never touches their eyes. Yo, this dude he seems like, honestly, this face seems like it's coming out from behind a bush. Like, you go camping, you're 15 miles up the Appalachian Trail, and you've pitched your pup tent, and you've made a small fire, and you're heating some of your dehydrated meal over the campfire, and then all of a sudden, out of the darkness, his face pops up. Like, that's the energy of Mr. Beast smiling. A fucking skinwalker coming to lay its eggs in your corpse. Hassan Piker, number 8. The biggest socialist in streaming isn't slowing down. People are looking for someone willing to fight against the Trump administration, Piker says, and he's up for the job. Piker, 33, covered the LA ICE protests, interviewed leftist leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon in France, toured Queens with New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, and visited the headquarters of the Japanese Communist Party. Freedom of speech is top of mind. He was detained by border security and questioned about his political views when returning from a trip abroad in May. That was an interesting experience, he jokes. And his recent international focus is no accident. It's about solidarity with other working class movements all around the world. It's a united struggle. How many Ethan Klein crash out Instagram posts have been made? How many crash out Ethan Klein Instagram posts have been made? How many? Somebody link. There's gotta be at least 3, at least 5 since this went live. How many? And I'm sorry to give Ethan Klein attention, chat, but that's another negative 20K. We need to do a negative 20K emote. Negative 20K emote for all the good press. And so immediately Fox News releases, Twitch star Hassan Piker calls communism the honorable end goal of socialism. Who fucking cares? Who the fuck cares? Look at the top 3 we did. I Show Speed. How do you become a global phenomenon? For I Show Speed, it starts with never turning the camera off. I Show Speed has transformed a childhood nickname and his longtime love of video games into an IRL streaming empire. Born Darren Watkins Jr., the Ohioan, 20, is best known for his worldwide streaming tours where the camera stays rolling as he meets foreign dignitaries and sports legends, plays in pickup soccer matches, films music videos for his budding rap career, or is hounded by massive crowds. Speed's teen antics have gotten him in hot water, but he's addressed each controversy with genuine apology, all while drawing millions of views with his boisterous energy and cultural curiosity. In 2024, he set a record for the most concurrent streams for an individual on YouTube, reaching 1 million live viewers on a tour of Indonesia. For an artist, the only time they're talking to their fans is at a concert, he told Forbes in 2024. But with live streaming, we're always there. Honestly, I Show Speed's China trip was a global phenomenon. Ethan Klein reacts to Rolling Stone's article featuring Hassan and Taylor Lorenz about the most influential social media creators. Is this real? They say fake. I'm pretty sure this is satirical. Come on, chatter. I want the real crash out. I don't want the fake crash out. I don't recognize almost. I don't recognize you. I don't recognize you. I don't recognize you. I know you. I don't recognize you. I don't. Oh, I know you. I don't recognize you. I don't recognize you. I am a boomer. I am Taylor wrote it. Taylor was part author. Taylor, where's me? I should be there. Put me on there. What the fuck? Sure, I only have like 150,000 followers, but who cares? Mousy being above Theo is so good. I mean, Theo Vaughn, of all the male podcasters, I have the softest spot for Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn seems like a guy that I would have like smoked up with. You know what I mean? Like Theo is annoying in a lot of ways. It is very naive and kind of dumb. But his vibes are like the only one that feel like a human being is somewhere in there. But he's very easily tricked. He's very easily tricked. He has definite coworker vibes or like your friend's younger brother vibes.
How is socialism different than communism?
Communism is supposed to be the end state. It's like the final goal. It's the final evolution. Stateless, moneyless, classless society. We've never really had communism. I know people will just like jokingly sometimes say real communism has never been tried, but that literally has never.
Chat, this just popped up on my feed and I feel like I need to interrupt our coverage to read it to all of you. They mock the Casey Tron, scene. They mocked the protection spell. They mocked the tarot readings. They mocked the marijuana use. They mocked being a woman. And yet the universe is balancing in our favor. Those that raise their tongue against me will earn the wrath of amethyst crystal bitches. Casey Tron as Fiona with a weed pen. Let me just say, chat, out of all the people I've met streaming, Casey Tron is probably the most real one I've ever met. The most kind, the funniest, the most down to earth, the most considerate, and just overall impeccable vibes. And let me say, there's one thing about her that I really support. She is the rock. A lot of people depend on Casey, and she bears that burden without complaint. A lot of people depend upon her, and she takes care of them. Like, honest to God, I feel like she is underappreciated. Even if people who know this, they don't get it. They really don't get it. I feel like with parasocial things and with streaming, you only see like a window of a person. You only see the person that they've put onto the computer. But with Casey Tron, she really is somebody who represents everything that's good about this platform and the people that make a living on it. And the fact that she got sued by Ethan Klein is one of those things that pisses me off so fucking much. Every time I think about it, it pisses me off. If Ethan Klein and his dumb and his evil crew were not so shit, she should be part of that greater universe. Like, she is the queen of goofs and gaffs. 83% civilian dead in Gaza. Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Twitch star Hassan Piker calls communism the honorable end goal of socialism. Left-wing Twitch streamer Hassan Piker defended communism as the honorable end goal of socialism and the redistribution of goods to the working class.
I think it's so interesting that Fox News has a male voice reading the text. That's so interesting. Did Mike shill yet? Oh, fuck, I forgot the shill. Oh, god damn it. Okay, chat, if you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing. I forgot the shill. Oh, fuck, I forgot the shill, chat. Please support the stream. Please support it. Give me your money, please. Come on. I forgot. It's been 4 hours. Come on, guys. I need to get paid. I don't have any ads. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach it to your Twitch account. You get 1 free sub a month. It's like $2.50 from Jeff Bezos that you're putting into my pocket. Please consider supporting the motherfucking stream. I know a lot of you motherfuckers are work from home, upper middle class, do 4 hours of actual work a week, motherfuckers, sitting on standby, IT fuckers, making way too much money. And then when you do work, it's you go to the fucking site and you turn the thing off and you turn it back on again. And that's 90% of the problems you have. It's like you've been putting off cable managing the servers for like how many months? So if you're sitting here, sitting pretty, not doing anything, watching my stream 20 hours a week plus, consider supporting the stream, because there's a lot of people here working paycheck to paycheck. There's parents of young children. There's college students. There's people on a fixed income because of retirement or disability, or just regular people struggling to make ends meet. You're a fucking lazy ass with your bullshit made up job. You should help those people out. And when you support my stream with a subscription, you boost us in the algorithm. You piss off Ethan Klein. You piss off Destiny. You piss off all my haters. Do you know how many people are jealous and angry? Like every time somebody gifts me subs or subscribes to this channel, do you know how many people are looking at that and they're fucking mauling? Do you think bot Tectone could ever get this amount of legitimate subs from actual viewers? He clicks on my stream. He sees 5, 6, 7, 8, 9K subs. The guy is fucking mauling. I mean, I think there for a while, like I have more tier 3s than Pokimane. So when people see these subscriptions, when you subscribe, not only are you supporting me, not only are you supporting the members of our community that might not be able to afford their own sub, not only are you boosting the algorithm, you're also pissing off the biggest losers on the entire fucking internet because they can't compete. Because their incel broke boy streams can't afford $6 a month. So for a measly $6, you can do 5 things at once that are incredible. And for me, from my point of view, according to my utility curve, the highest utility that you could do with your money is give it to me. You're bending my utility curve the fastest and the hardest whenever you give me money. So please consider supporting the stream. It would really, really, really mean a lot to me. And this is generally the philosophy of the stream. This is what I said yesterday. Mercy is a luxury of the victorious. We do what we need to do to defeat fascism. And when it is broken, when it is defeated and crushed, when there is no more right-wing resistance, then we are magnanimous. Then we are kind. Then we are merciful. Then we are focused on rehabilitation and truth and reconciliation. But up until that point is achieved, we must fight pragmatically to get there. Friday is U.S. disability, VA disability payday. Here's what I would say. Every single fucking veteran I know is on some sort of bullshit VA disability where they're not actually hurt. And then they go and they get another job. How the fuck is that legal? People on SSI, they get their fucking assets investigated by a fine-tooth comb. Mike, we need to beat Asmongold. He admitted he only has 6,000 active subs. Botter! We've got a botter! Now, Asmongold has got a big audience. There's no doubt about that. But there's definitely a lot of botting going down in him and his orbiters. Okay. Now it's time for us to watch some China Glaze. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. Remember, the top sub gifter and the top bit donor get the Hype Trade Conductor badge. Right now, it's Spiral with 200 bits and Misanthropic Leftist with 6 gifted subs. So if somebody gives 7 gifted subs or 201 bits, you can steal the Hype Train Conductor badge from those people, which is a golden locomotive that then becomes a purple locomotive you get to keep permanently. And I can tell you, when I see somebody has a fucking purple locomotive in their name and I'm about to ban them, I'm like, all right, you're a Hype Train Conductor. Maybe I'll just give them a timeout. It is the single best way to avoid a Snap Mic permaban is by being a Hype Train Conductor. I'm not even kidding.
World's biggest outside China. It is being built in Brazil, just outside Sao Paulo, by the Chinese state agricultural giant COFCO. At the cost of $285 million, it could spell the loss of billions of dollars in revenue for American farmers. Here's why. Beijing has spent hundreds of billions of dollars on American agricultural products over the last decade, making China one of the top markets for American farmers.
We'll be discussing trade.
In 2018, Washington introduced the first tranche of tariffs on China, and Beijing retaliated with tariffs of its own. But the dip in trade was short-lived, and China's demand for American agricultural produce recovered and even boomed in the following years. But the fallout from the first trade war left Beijing looking for other suppliers. Rich in beef, raw materials, and crops, Brazil has become the #1 food supplier to China, overtaking the US. Brazilian agricultural exports to China reached a record high of around $60 billion in 2023. And thanks to this port in southeastern Brazil, that relationship is set to become even more lucrative. In 2024, the Port of Santos handled a record 180 million tons of cargo, of which more than half was agricultural goods, such as corn, sugar, and Brazil's key export, soybeans. Brazil's soybean exports are worth over $50 billion, and about 30% of that trade passes through Santos, mainly on its way to China. But the port can hardly keep up. Today, more than 90% of the port's capacity for exporting agricultural bulk goods is in use, according to logistics consulting firm Macroinfo. That's why COFCO is building this export terminal here at the port. The state agricultural giant hopes to expand its capacity for exports from 4.5 million tons to 14 million tons, bringing billions of dollars in revenue. But in the US, farmers worry that this increase could be achieved at their expense. Trump's first trade war led to more than $27 billion in losses of agricultural exports, according to USDA research.
We have $1 trillion trade deficit with China. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year we lose with China. And unless we solve that problem, I'm not going to make a deal.
Since Trump's return to office, China has found itself under renewed pressure, and American farmers are bearing the brunt. Export data in April showed China was already cutting back on US soybean purchases. It has also reduced the amount of pork it plans to import in 2025. As Trump urges Beijing to quadruple its purchases of American soybeans in a bid to reduce the trade deficit, the expansion of the port will allow China to buy even less from the US. The Santos port fits into Beijing's wider plan to access South America's agricultural bounty as China suffers from a lack of water and arable land at home. Chinese companies are laying hundreds of miles of railroad across Brazil's agricultural heartland. And they're even planning an ambitious rail project to link those regions to China's $3.5 billion megaport in Peru. This nearly 3,000-mile-long railway could shorten export times from Brazil to Asia by up to 10 days, according to China's state media. Still in its early stages, this would be an unprecedented endeavor for the continent. But while this
Another Lula W.
booming relationship with China promises billions of dollars in revenue, there is a threat for Brazil. Brazil is now facing one of the fastest processes of deindustrialization in the world. Over recent years, Brazil has increased its exports of raw materials to China, while China has shipped manufactured goods to Brazil. That's had a devastating impact on Brazilian factories over recent years, leading to job losses and a reduction in manufacturing as part of the country's GDP. The new terminal in Santos threatens to further contribute to the country's growing deindustrialization. For a while, it looked like Brazil would be a rare winner in Trump's trade war. It was going to export more agricultural goods to the US.
I get that these projects increase overall well-being, but isn't this just increasing consumer culture globally in the end and running humanity as a whole into the dirt? No. I think that there's a lot of performative behavior on the left where people are like, I don't want to live in a consumer culture. And it's like, well, we consume things. That's part of being a biological organism. Things wear out. That's just called entropy. We need to have the ability. Yes, we shouldn't just overproduce and waste resources. That's silly. But the problem for most of the world right now is that they don't have enough stuff. And the problem with our systems is not the idea of producing bounty for everyone. What's really, causing harm in our systems is the way the systems are derived, meaning they're not sustainable. They don't have reuse, recycling built into the programs. We have designed, planned obsolescence. There's a lot of ways we could adjust these processes to be more sustainable. But we need to improve development. For example, one of the reasons why Brazil is important for climate change is the Amazon rainforest. Well, they have Brazilian ranchers who are doing slash and burn agriculture to open up more grazing land for cattle. In order for Brazil to have an important part of the economy, we need to make sure that they develop higher tiers of agricultural development so that they can produce beef using less agricultural land and preventing slash and burn agriculture.
To China, as both countries were locked in a bitter dispute over trade. But recently, Trump imposed a 50% tariff on many Brazilian goods. That's one of the highest in the world, and it's partially linked to a criminal case here in Brazil against the former right-wing president Jair Bolsonaro. He is on trial for allegedly plotting a coup in the country in 2022. He is one of Trump's closest allies, and Trump has said the case is a witch hunt against the right in Brazil. The Brazilian government understands that this increase in tariffs is a way to pressure the government and the courts to drop the case against Jair Bolsonaro, but they've made it very clear that that's not going to happen. China is already Brazil's biggest trading partner, but the increase in tariffs from the US and COFCO's new terminal are likely to push them even closer together.
I think deindustrialization is an issue because, like, we want to make sure that everybody has meaningful work that they can do to increase the productivity of their society and their country. And I do think that locating some manufacturing, not being so fragile, not being so dependent on one country is a good idea. We should have more decentralized production. Like, it shouldn't just all be at one location. That makes us way too fragile and brittle. China.
Democrat Party does not fight for, care about, or represent American citizens. It is an entity devoted exclusively to the defense of hardened criminals, gangbangers, and illegal alien killers and terrorists. The Democrat Party is not a political party. It is a domestic extremist organization. Look at Chicago. They've shut down the police department. They've handcuffed law enforcement, and as President Trump says, they have turned the streets of Chicago into a bloody killing field. Here in Washington, D.C., before President Trump launched the federal law enforcement liberation in D.C., there was a murder on the streets of this town every other day. Body after body after body after body. That was Washington, D.C. Residents were afraid to go to restaurants. They were afraid to go into entire neighborhoods. They were getting carjacked right and left, robbed and beaten. That was Washington, D.C. Now we're 2 weeks homicide free, the safest the city has ever been in its entire history. And the Democrats, instead of jumping up and down and saying, thank you, President Trump, thank you for saving our lives, thank you for saving our cities, thank you for scrubbing away all the graffiti, the trash, the homeless encampments, the druggies, instead of cleaning up the city, instead of thanking him for that, they're saying, President Trump, how dare you save our lives? How dare you save our children? How dare you save our city? The Democrat Party, Sean, that exists today, it disgusts me. I do not recognize that party, Sean.
So, according to him, Chicago has defunded the police and is living with bloody streets. That sounds pretty dire.
At least 4 people were killed and 14 others were wounded in a drive-by shooting in Chicago overnight. Witnesses described the scene as a war zone. Police say the attacker fled and no one is in custody. Despite this horrific shooting, the city of Chicago saw a historic drop in homicides in the first half of the year. That's a trend that's largely been mirrored nationwide. So for a deeper look at the state of violent crime in the U.S., I spoke earlier today with Jeff Asher. His real-time crime index compiles data from hundreds of law enforcement agencies nationwide. Jeff Asher, great to have you back on the program. Let's talk about this event in Chicago overnight. A horrible drive-by shooting. People see headlines like that, and they certainly are led to believe that we are in this violent crime spiral. Help us put these kinds of events into context.
Well, it's very difficult. First off, you don't ever want to downplay the tragedy, downplay the horror. Even when you're talking about dramatic declines in gun violence, dramatic declines in murder, you're still talking about too many of these incidents, too many of these tragedies. That said, it's difficult for people, I think, to put these things in context because very rarely or never do you see a story, there were no shootings yesterday, there were no murders yesterday. It's only in the presence of these tragedies that these things come to media attention. So the fact of the matter is Chicago is seeing, I think, a 40% decline in shooting victims this year compared to the same
40% decline. 40.
Same time frame last year. It's seeing a 30-something% decline in murder. Nationwide, in cities of all sizes, we're seeing double-digit 20-something% declines in murders. So we are seeing these declines occurring pretty much everywhere, including in Chicago. But you also have something like this that comes to the public attention that very rightly so gets a lot of press and a lot of attention. It's just very challenging, I think, to balance that with the overall big picture trend, which is certainly far more rosy.
Do you have any sense as to why those numbers are coming down so dramatically.
It's literally $1 billion question in terms of if you knew the amount of resources and effort that you would put into it would be tremendous. There's a real challenge to answering the question why. We know that there aren't more police officers in the vast majority of cities nationwide compared to where we were even 2 or 3 years ago, much less 5 or 6 years ago. We know that the root causes of violence really haven't been fixed. Poverty is still around. Education in a lot of cities still struggle. We know that the country is still awash in guns, still awash in firearms. There haven't been any tremendous changes there. We know that murder clearance rates especially have kind of bounced around, but they're still low by historical standards, even despite the drop in murder that we've seen over the last 2 years. So putting all of that together, I think the most satisfying explanations are the big national explanations. The one that pops to my mind the most is that after COVID, we had all of this spending on social programs, a 90% increase in construction from local and state governments on social and neighborhood centers, 50% increase in public safety spending, construction, 20% increase in highway spending from state and local governments. You had all of this spending, all of this hiring, all of these things that maybe weren't specifically tied to violence reduction, but that have had this kind of ancillary benefit of helping to interrupt these cycles of violence that started in 2020 and 2021 and bring violence to what could be some of the lowest levels that have ever been recorded in the country.
One of the things you mentioned as possible factors in this decline might be reversed soon. The Trump administration has eliminated a lot of grants to community-based violence prevention efforts. Do you have any concern that that might have a negative effect on these positive trends you're seeing?
I think the greater concern for me, rather than changing these programs is going to lead to an increase, is that at some point, whether it's 6 months from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to see crime start to increase. These trends, these historic declines are not going to continue forever. When that change happens, these are programs that are useful for arresting that change, for interrupting cycles of violence. And if we have divested from these programs, then we're in a much worse position when these trends inevitably change for whatever reason to respond to that change.
All right, that is Jeff Asher, who is the co-founder of AH Datalytics. Always great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
So basically what we have is in every single city in America, massive decreases in crime. But yet there is this seeming crime hysteria that's not connected to reality. Now, I'm not saying that we should accept any violence at all as acceptable, but how could you have a period of declines in crime and then use that as a pretext to strip Americans of their constitutional rights? It doesn't make any sense unless it has nothing to do with the facts and it's all about achieving power. All right, chat, everybody wanted me to play this. Friend of the show, Joey Keyboard, has created a new banger.
Tears keep falling down, can't get out of bed again. Looking out my window, wonder when it all will end. Keep asking why I don't just point it at my head, but you remind me it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Dear Steven, I'm writing just to tell you how I'm feeling. From the days you clean them carpets, man, your StarCraft grind was so inspiring. Every night I tuned in just to see you speak it raw. Made me think about my own voice, maybe I could have it all too. But lately I heard some rumors in the wind. They've been calling you a pedo, saying sex pest with a grin. I don't know what to believe, man, the world is so full of hate. But you always been my hero, so I pray it's just a fake. You're the reason I built a podcast, trying to follow where you been. You debated, you inspired, you created something new again. I just wanted you to know the way you helped me from within. Sincerely yours, your biggest fan. This is Ethan.
Tears keep falling down, can't get out of bed again. Looking out my window.
Listen, 10,000 acres of rainforest will burn for this AI song.
Keep asking why I don't just point it at my head, but you remind me it's not so bad. It's not. Yeah.
Dear Steven, I can't lie no more. These stories are cutting through. All them rumors weren't just whispers, man. They really spoke the truth. I've been sitting here in silence, trying to process what I read. Feeling sick inside my chest like something precious just went dead. You was more than just a voice to me. You carried all my fight. Now I'm drowning in betrayal, man. I can't sleep at night. And when you clown on me in streams, man, it tears me up inside. Like I'm nothing but a joke, though I was always on your side. I don't know why I still feel this. Why your name's still in my skin. Maybe deeper than respect. Man, I think I fucking love you, Steven. I ain't writing just for clout. I ain't reaching just to win. I just had to let you know. This is Ethan.
Tears keep falling down. Can't get out of bed again. Looking out my window, wonder when it all will end. Keep asking why I don't just point it at my head, but you remind me it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Dear Mr. Boner Willie, or should I say child molesting me? You fooled the world with your bullshit, but you can't fool me. I risked everything I had, man. My whole career was built on you, and now the truth is on the surface. All the shit they said was true. You attacked my wife and my kids, man. What the fuck? You're a disgrace. I fucking loved you, man, but you're smearing shit in my face. We were this close to taking out high sand, you and me, but you fucked it up with vices. Yeah, you ruined our destiny. I popped some Ozempic, shit. I'm swerving, storm pounding through my head. I don't give a fuck about tomorrow. Fuck it, this show is dead. I fucking loved you, man. Why didn't you say it back to me? Fuck you and fuck the world. This will be my last Insta story.
Keep falling down. Can't get out of bed again. Looking out my window, wonder when it all will end. Keep asking why I don't just point it at my head, but you remind me it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Dear Steven, they locked you away, but I won't let them hold you long. I cut my ties, I left my family, they didn't belong. Everything I did before, all the pain and all the rage, it was all for you, for us. I'm gonna bust you out that cage, I'll risk it all for you, Steven. Because our love is real, we'll run away together. We'll go to Israel, every scar I've earned. Every night I cried and fought, it led me here to promise you the life that we were taught. I don't care what anyone says, or what the law might do. All that matters, Steven, is that I'm coming straight to you. Forever yours, no matter what. My heart beats just for two. I love you, Steven. This is Ethan.
Oh man, chat. Wow. Joey Keyboard, it's unlisted, man. You didn't publish it. It's unlisted. I don't feel comfortable sharing it unless it's listed, man. I mean, I will, but holy shit. Somebody once asked me, is there such a thing as ethical AI use? And my answer is, if they're going to let you use $1,000 worth of AI to make this incredibly stupid shit because they're chasing financial capital, what am I going to say? No? He posted it on the leftover subreddit? Okay. Well, I'll share it. You know, it's unlisted. It's not going to get boosted to the algo, but it is what it is. What you needed, if I could make one suggestion, you needed one letter from Destiny to Ethan, but it was just Destiny ripping Ethan apart. That would be a fun subversion of Stan, the rap. In Stan the Rap, Eminem writes back to Stan after Stan like kills himself and his wife. So having Steven going like, Israel is for pedophiles and your wife is a terrorist. Assad was right about everything, Ethan. I just used you because I hate him too. That would be funny. It's absurd to me that either of these fools are remotely important. What you need, this is what capitalism is. This is what people don't understand. The theoretical reality, the theoretical capitalism versus the capitalism that we really have is this. What happens is somebody wins the lottery and they get a lot of money. And then when you have a lot of money, you get to dictate shit because people need money to live. And so the reason why the streaming space is like this is because Ethan Klein and Destiny both won the lottery early on in the industry. And so they got to a certain size where now they have power. And so everybody who's tried to be a streamer after them has to deal with the reality that they have created and that their single lottery ticket win has bequeathed them. And this is how capitalism works at everything. Like Elon Musk He did Western Union, but on the internet. And because users of eBay decided to use PayPal to pay each other, PayPal became the winner of Western Union on the internet. Well, there were like 30 competitors that were doing the exact same shit. Elon Musk got lucky. Like the fuckers that got rich were pieces of shit. So now we have to deal with them. And then what did he do? He took his lottery ticket and he bought another lottery ticket, which was Tesla. Because he was good at self-promotion, because he was fearless of cheating, he was able to get boosted again. And then because he was a nerd that tricked Redditors, they all bought his stupid Tesla stock. So Elon Musk is basically the equivalent of a guy who won Powerball twice. Hey, Majority Report, what you doing, man? We just watched some AI slop. I'm so sorry. How is MR feeling, guys? Hey, MR guys, how is MR feeling? Because I am anti-doomer, but I have to say that I'm feeling kind of realistically defeated. I'm feeling like shit is going really bad. Like Israel's Democrats pro-Israel statement. Donald Trump just taking 10% of intel without a peep. Did they talk about that? The fact that we have the military setting up checkpoints, the fact that there's a blatantly unconstitutional executive order on burning the flag, that the Democratic Party is completely uninterested in standing up to Trump and only about containing the left. That's the only thing they do. The only thing Democrats do is try to contain the left. The fact that, I mean, even the social media resistance to Trump is moribund. People are trying to do, you have to vote for Gavin Newsom 3.5 years before the presidential election. The guy is negative 15% net approval nationwide. And California is run like shit. Why the fuck would you want Gavin Newsom to run the country like he runs California? Are you insane? And like, yes, I know the Democrats are never going to save us. It's what I said to Sam Cedar. And when I debated Sam Cedar, if you go back and look at my debates with Sam Cedar, I was right. The history and the meaning of the Internationale. That's pretty sweet. I want to talk about the Israeli bombing more because it's like we covered it a little bit, but I want to watch Democracy Now! React to this. I'll be right back, chat. But hey, Majority Reporters, be right back.
Just now, the civil service is lost. Oh God, they've killed these people.
The journalists killed in the Israeli airstrike have been identified as Hosma Masri, a photojournalist with the Reuters news agency, Mohammed Salama, a photojournalist with Al Jazeera, Mariam Abu Daka, a freelancer who worked with the Associated Press, Moaz Abu Taha, a journalist with NBC, and Ahmed Abu Aziz. On Saturday, another journalist was killed in Gaza, Mohammed Al-Madoun, who worked at Palestine TV. At least 244 journalists and media workers have now been killed in Gaza over the past 23 months. Today's attack on Nasser Hospital came a day after Israeli forces killed at least 64 Palestinians, mostly in the north, as Israel moves to take over Gaza City and forcibly remove the city's entire population of about 1 million people. Officials in Gaza say Israel's recently destroyed more than 1,000 buildings in the Zaytun and Sabra neighborhoods of Gaza City. Meanwhile, health officials in Gaza say 11 more Palestinians, including 2 children, have died from malnutrition over the past 24 hours. At least 300 Palestinians have starved to death. On Friday, the UN formally declared famine in the Gaza Strip. For more, we go to Mohammed Shahada, writer and analyst from Gaza. He's chief communications at Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor. Mohammed, welcome back to Democracy Now! Under incredibly painful circumstances. What do you understand happened with eyewitnesses talking about a double-tax strike on Nasser Hospital that killed at least 5 journalists, 20 people about altogether, with a focus on the 4th floor? The Reuters journalist was setting up a live stream on the roof when it happened.
Well, basically, it started with a journalist at Nasser Hospital called Hatem Omar, who located and spotted an Israeli surveillance quadcopter drone. He took a picture, uploaded it an hour before the strike, and said there is a quadcopter drone that is surveilling meticulously the area, so take cover, watch out. Israel knew exactly who was there. They bombed the 4th floor with a precision strike because that is the area where journalists would go to catch a signal for their eSIM cards, because Israel collapsed Gaza's telecommunication infrastructure, so journalists rely on an electronic SIM card that catches a signal from Israeli telecom towers. So that's why they have to go to high up places, high-rise buildings. Once they bombed it the first time, they waited patiently until more journalists and rescue workers rushed to the scene. And once they saw them, they bombed them again exactly at the moment that they were crowding to basically document the atrocities that unfolded there. So it's a precision double-tap strike that Israel unleashed to kill journalists specifically in the area where they knew that they would be standing every single day to upload documentation of the genocide.
Can you talk about Israel's response? They said they're investigating.
That's the exact same response that they gave about Yasser Murtaja in 2018 when they murdered him with a sniper shot directly, despite wearing a press-marked vest. First they said he was Hamas, then they said it was an accident. Then when all of their lies were debunked repeatedly, they said we will investigate. And we never heard anything about it again for the next 7 years until this moment. Investigate is Israel's way of buying time. I have Israeli contacts in Israeli civil society like Breaking the Silence and B'Tselem that said that Israel previously was unwilling to investigate itself. At this stage, it is incapable of investigating itself because the military is overfilled with religious Zionist extremists. It's basically the Israeli military that is carrying out the genocide in Gaza is overstaffed with the most extreme Israeli settlers, particularly from the hilltop youth. And you wouldn't expect those people to investigate their atrocities, let alone the people that were there before them. Israel's investigations are basically the same sham that is there to buy time. That's why B'Tselem decided many years ago to stop collaborating with any Israeli state investigation, because they said these are theater plays, performances that is there to just whitewash Israeli atrocities on the ground. So it's completely meaningless.
Can you tell us about the other journalists and their reporting? So you have Hassam al-Masri, the photojournalist from Reuters news agency, who was setting up a live stream on the roof. And then there's Mariam Abu Daqqa. She's with AP, a freelancer with AP, a mom. She was doing profiles, especially of children in Nasser Hospital.
So Mariam, she's a giant icon on her own. Basically, she's a journalist, a mother. She recently donated her kidney to save a life quietly. Her son is receiving medical treatment outside of Gaza. Ghaith, she is basically a very close friend of Razan al-Najjar, the paramedic that was killed again in a targeted sniper shot during the Great March of Return in 2018. And Mariam was covering these demonstrations. At one point, she was broadcasting live when a body arrived to the hospital. She looked behind, and it turned out to be her own brother that was killed by Israel while marching bare-chested against Israel's draconian blockade on Gaza, and collapsed in tears immediately. She lost another brother during the genocide. She's a neighbor of Muhammad Salama, the other journalist that was killed in their strike. And Muhammad recently got engaged, and he was preparing to get married. He's a young journalist from the same area, Abasan and Khan Yunis, a village that Israel wiped out completely. They left nothing in there, and they bragged about it on camera. They took thorough documentation that Abasan was turned into a howling wilderness, and showed it to Gazans to basically shock them. Even in Israeli prisons, Ben Gvir, the Israeli Minister of Security, he hung up a giant poster of Gaza being reduced to rubble for Palestinian hostages to see it every single day and realize that the genocide is going through. The other journalists, Muaz Taha and Hamza, both of them, none of the four journalists had anything to do with Hamas or militant activity. Nonetheless, you have Channel 14, an Israeli TV channel, that is now bragging and saying, yes, we bombed the Nasser hospital twice. Yes, we killed those journalists. And yes, those journalists are terrorists. And that's the end of the story. So in English, Israel is saying one thing. They're saying it's a mistake. In Hebrew, they're bragging about it. They're delighting in the killing of those journalists. Right now,
I honestly, and I mean this completely, like, I think this is the most evil country to ever exist. And the main difference between Nazi Germany and Israel today is that Nazi Germany was a larger country and more powerful, so they were able to do this stuff more openly and more directly and more industrially. And the only thing that's constraining Israel, like nobody in Israel is not killing Palestinians because they like value Palestinian lives or because of ethics or whatever. They just know that if they set up an industrial process to mass murder Palestinians, then everybody will see the genocide for what it is, an intentional genocide. They're using nature. They're using starvation. They're using mass murder of journalists to cover up the crime. And Nazi Germany never had the influence in America that Israel has in America. Like, we passed the Foreign Agent Registration Act to counter Nazi agents in America under FDR. And AIPAC is immune from having to register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, even though AIPAC leaders have been caught spying on America many times. An organization that is literally headed by Israeli spies multiple fucking times is immune from the Foreign Agent Registration Act.
Israel has killed 244 journalists, by far surpassing all 20 years of the war in Vietnam or all 6 years of the Second World War. And you remember, Amy, in Vietnam, there were pictures like the napalm girl that turned public opinion around. There was the picture from Lebanon in 1982 of a girl with both of her arms wrapped in bandages that made President Reagan call the Israeli prime minister and say, this is a Holocaust, you need to stop now. But when it comes to Gaza, you don't see that tipping point at all. No matter what Israel does, there is no tipping point for the international community that's empowering Israel's genocide.
And let's remember that well over 200 Palestinian journalists and media workers have been killed. You said 244, Mohammed. The Israeli prime minister, the military, does not allow in international journalists. Mohammed Shahada, I want to thank you very much for being with us, writer and analyst from Gaza, chief of communications at Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching.
I feel like if you know anybody or you're aware of anybody who is still a supporter of the Israeli state at this point, it's absolutely unforgivable. And I believe it's stuff like the Accountability Archive. I think people should be held accountable for supporting the genocide, if only it is what is necessary to force people to change their position. If somebody came out in favor of Israel, they must be forced to come out and condemn Israel.
Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.
All right, chat. I'm going to call it there. Thank you for all the support. Remember, you could subscribe at Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 sub. I appreciate you. The vibes are restoring. The universe is falling back into place. We are victorious once again. Here's all my links. Make sure you hit those follow buttons. And I'm going to send you over to Vio. Vio is doing a stream. Vio is one of Twitch's earliest pro-Palestinian creators. And I want to hype you guys up on Vio. Vio has created an entire new batch of never before seen emotes. We're talking about 12 brand new emotes from Vio that are incredibly good. Honestly, I need to get Vio. I was like, Vio, help me get better emotes. Check out some of these, man. Look at the fucking cheeks on this one. Look at the fucking insane skill of these emotes. So you now have the right and the obligation to support a pro-Palestinian creator, a Muslim MB, and a fixture of Twitch for over 10 years, Vio. So I'm going to send you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to Vio. Stay safe out there. Solidarity forever. Join DSA. And don't forget, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.